Ada for telling my dad that if he didn't shape up, my mom was going to leave him. Hello everyone. I posted this on Ada but figured I might as well post it over here too. I have never posted on Reddit before, so sorry if this goes against the guidelines or anything. For context, I am a 16-year-old girl and my dad is a 57-year-old man. I love my parents a lot, and I am so grateful for all the things they do to provide for me. However, me and my dad have always had a bit of a strange relationship. He is not very good at communicating, and sometimes it feels like I can't talk to him about anything. This does bother me, but the real issue in our house is that my mom does everything. Every day she makes dinner, does the dishes, laundry, etc. On top of this, she recently started remotely working full-time again, and she is currently going back to college to get her master's degree. I do everything I can to help her out, but I can only do so much. My dad works full-time, and that's it. He never does any chores or helps around the house at all. He does work a labor-heavy job, and I understand it's tiring, but he could at least give our dog a bath or make dinner for himself or something. Both me and my mom have said many times that we want him to help around the house, and he always says he will, but he never does anything. He did the dishes a couple times, but he didn't do it thoroughly enough and there was still food on them, so my mom had to rewash them. I've honestly gotten really tired of this, as it's been going on for years. Well, here is where I might be the asshole. This happened 3 days ago. My mom was in class that night, so she hadn't gotten an opportunity to do the laundry yet, and there was a basket of dirty clothes in my parents' room. My dad offhandedly remarked, "Gee, there sure are a lot of dirty clothes laying around." This made me really annoyed. I told him that he was a grown man and if he wanted clean clothes he could do a load of laundry himself. My dad looked surprised at this and told me to calm down. I have a tendency of speaking harshly to people when I'm irritated, and this was unfortunately one of those moments. So I told him that, I swear to God, if you don't shape up and start doing some actual work around here, mom is gonna want a divorce. I knew immediately I shouldn't have said it and he left the room looking really angry. Not sure if it's relevant, but he has been married 2 times before my mom. I told my mom about this and she says that while he should do more work, what I said was really mean and the divorce comment was completely unnecessary. When my dad got home from work the next day I tried to apologize, but he completely ignored me and just went outside. It's been 3 days and he hasn't said a word to me, even though I've tried to say sorry multiple times. My house is now really tense since my dad is also mad at my mom because he thinks she wants to get a divorce. I feel horrible, but honestly, deep down I still agree with the comment I said to him. So, Ada, comments. Commenter 1, NTA. As a daughter of a man very similar to the way you described your father, he is using weapon Z incompetence and the silent treatment as manipulation. You weren't out of the realm of possibilities by saying what you said. I know, because after 18 long years my mom finally divorced my dad. It may have sounded harsh to him, but that's because people with no accountability for their actions will always feel attacked. I hate to say it, but it sounds like your mom would be better off without him. As far as the silent treatment goes, it hurts and it's childish and annoying, but the best thing you can do is look straight through him. Play the game back. It won't take long before he's pretending like everything is fine again as he's waited on hand and foot. Commenter 2, my favorite part of this is you voicing concerns you and your mother share about his lack of help around the home. And his response is to go hide in his sheet rather than actually doing anything to fix the problem. Did he ever do the laundry? I feel like you also have to explain to your mother how this makes you feel, that she is constantly placing your dad's feelings and comfort over both of yours. Is this the kind of relationship she wants for you when you are older? Also, make it clear that it's pretty impossible to drift away from only one parent after moving out. You don't want to get to a point, in a few short years, where you stop coming around at all because you don't want to watch or deal with it anymore. Update. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone on my post who commented about their opinions on why I was or wasn't an asshole. Everyone was very kind and you all gave great feedback. The verdict on my post ended up being not the a-hole, though a lot of people said it wasn't my place to speak on behalf of my mom like that. After thinking about it, I agree. My dad was being a jerk, but I really shouldn't have put words in my mom's mouth. Now, for the update. About 2 days after I had posted on here, my parents sat me down and said they wanted to talk. I was prepared to get a lecture about how what I said was out of line, but that's not what happened. Apparently, the reason my dad had gotten so upset at the comment I made was that it hit a little too close to home. It turns out, my dad has been cheating on my mom for about a year with one of his coworkers, and my mom found out a few months ago. The reason she went back to work was because she needed financial independence to get divorced. They said they hadn't been planning on telling me, but my dad decided I was mature enough to know the truth and that I deserved to know. They said they would probably be separated by the end of the year. This situation was completely out of left field to be honest, because while my dad might not have been the best at doing the dishes, I never thought he would have an affair. My dad has talked to me about how he was so sorry for what he's been doing, and that he hoped I didn't view him differently. I've tried to be kind and not say any more unnecessary comments, but I did let him know that I was really disappointed in him. I needed to get out of the house, so I've been staying with my friend for the past couple of days and processing everything. So, while what I said to him might have been shitty, it resulted in me finding the truth about what was going on, so I'm kind of glad. I'm sorry that this update isn't the happiest or anything, but overall I am doing okay. And thank you again to everyone who commented on my first post, I appreciate it a lot. Comments. Commenter 1. My dad has talked to me about how he was so sorry for what he's been doing, and that he hoped I didn't view him differently. Ah yes, his primary concern is how he's perceived. Yikes, but not surprising. I'm very sorry about all this. Commenter 1. Speaking as someone whose dad also cheated. This is always their primary concern. IMO cheating requires a lack of empathy on their part in the first place, so it makes sense even after they're caught their primary concern is still themselves. I told my dad he was choosing his mistress over us and he stood up, put a finger in my face and yelled, "You're wrong." My guess, cause he couldn't possibly perceive himself as a bad father. Then he promptly moved out, wait about a year and moved 1,000 miles away, and now we barely see him. So I guess I wasn't wrong. Commenter 3. Man who had affair and can't be bothered to do the dishes hopes his child won't view him differently. Selfish and delusional. Commenter 4. It's okay dad, I already didn't respect you. Stories number 2. AIO for threatening to take my sister to court after her toddler destroyed my $2,000 gaming setup because she said I should've baby-proofed my apartment. I'm F25 and I'm honestly at my breaking point with this one. I need outside perspective because my entire family is acting like I'm Hitler for standing my ground. So, I, 25F, am a student software developer and a pretty serious PC gamer in my free time. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment that I've spent years making cozy and functional. I saved up for a long time to build my dream PC setup, triple monitors, custom mechanical keyboard, ergonomic chair, the works. Altogether, my rig is worth a bit over $2,000, and I take care of it like it's a damn child. Last weekend, my older sister, 30F, asked if she could crash at my place for one night because her apartment was being fumigated, and her husband was out of town. She has a 3-year-old son, Max, who's, let's say, spirited. I love him, but he's a little chaos goblin. I hesitated, but she swore she'd keep an eye on him and that it'd just be for one night. They show up Saturday afternoon, and immediately it's clear she wasn't kidding about Max being a handful. Within 10 minutes of arriving, he'd pulled 4 books off my shelf, thrown my houseplants on the floor, and spilled juice on my area rug. I tried to stay chill, he's 3, I get it, but I asked my sister politely to please keep him out of my office, where my PC setup is. She rolls her eyes and goes, he's just exploring, he's curious, it's normal. But she closes the office door anyway. Cut to Sunday morning. I wake up to screaming. Max had apparently woken up before his mom, managed to open the office door, and decided my setup was his new jungle gym. He pulled down one of my monitors, cracking the screen. He stuck crackers into the PC tower's ventilation slots, I'm not kidding, yanked out my keyboard's keycaps, and had colored on my chair with permanent marker. The cherry on top. He poured apple juice into the tower. Into it. When I tell you I went silent. I mean dead silent. My sister comes in, sees the damage, and just says, "Oh no," in this incredibly flat tone, like someone knocked over a cup of coffee. I start freaking out, and she has the audacity to say, "You should have baby-proofed the room if it was that important to you." I lost it. I told her that 1, she knew he wasn't supposed to be in there, 2, this is my space, not a damn daycare, and 3, baby-proofing a $2,000 gaming setup is not a standard requirement for adults living alone. She told me to calm down and said that he's just a kid, and stuff is replaceable. I told her she could replace it then. She said she didn't have the money right now, but maybe in a few months she could give me a few hundred. I told her that wasn't acceptable and that she needed to take full responsibility. She left in a huff and now my whole family is blowing up my phone. My mom says I'm being materialistic and should understand that my nephew didn't mean it. My dad said I should have locked the door if it was that important. My brother actually said, "Why do you even need 3 monitors anyway? That's kind of overkill." I filed a claim with my insurance, but there's no guarantee it'll be covered since it was technically guest damage. I also told her that if she does not pay up, I'll take her to court for what happened. Now I'm getting texts from my sister demanding an apology for blaming her kid for being curious. I told her I'd drop it if she covered the cost of repairs and replacements, or at least met me halfway, and she blocked me. So, am I overreacting if I take my sister to court over this? Update, wow. Just wow. 4 hours later, I wake up from my nap to this. Thank you guys, it'll take a bit for me to read all of this. My sister still has not unblocked me, but her husband reached out to find out what happened. I'm sorry I don't have more to tell yet, but I'll update again when I do. Seriously, thanks for the insights everyone. My head is a lot clearer now. Update 2, hey all. My sister's husband reached out as mentioned earlier, and we're working out a solution if possible. He's been really understanding, as have all of you. Also, to clarify the office situation, my one-bedroom apartment is on the smaller side, 33 square meters 355 square feet, so the landlord converted an old ex-clothes cabinet into a makeshift office. It's weird, but the building is from the 40s, and they had to get creative with the space with an old tenant or something. So it's living room, sister and her kid slept there, plus kitchen, I slept there, plus the office. Thanks for all the support and the award. I really don't have the words for how nice people have been in both DMs and the comments. Sum of comments. I responds to one of the top comments. Reply, I really appreciate your comment, I feel as if you nailed exactly how I've been feeling but couldn't articulate in the moment. It's comforting to know I'm not totally off base here. I will need to see what I'm willing to do with this situation. I don't want to lose my family, but I don't want to start begging to be heard either. Thank you. Going no contact. Yeah, I'm not ready to go full no contact right now, but I really appreciate your perspective. It's definitely something I'll keep in mind if things keep escalating and no one starts showing even a little respect for my boundaries. I just want accountability, not drama. But if they keep pushing, I won't hesitate to step back. I don't think I want to know my family if they can't appreciate the work I put into my hobbies. Thanks for the insight. Commenter, questions. Does your office door lock? If so, why wasn't it locked? How was this unattended 3-year-old able to get his hands on crackers and apple juice in an apartment that he is presumably not familiar with? Why were these items so easy for him to get to? If you knew in advance that he and your sister were coming, why wouldn't you make any effort to either secure delicate important items or move them somewhere he can't reach? Update post. Hey again. Just wanted to post a quick update since it's been a little under a week and a few people asked what happened next. Things are better, pretty fucking weird, and still ongoing, but here's where we're at. Last Saturday, my brother-in-law, BL, came over to check out the damage himself. He actually brought Max, toddler, with him, which I was almost livid about at first, but he had a reason. He asked Max to try opening the office closet door. The kid couldn't do it. The door was too heavy for him. You probably can guess where this is going. BIL offered to take my PC to the store that originally built it for me, just to see what was fixable. I agreed, but asked for something in writing just so I had some peace of mind. We put together a little agreement that he'd be responsible for it while it was with him. Yeah, it was just a formality and would not hold much merit anywhere, but it helped me feel a bit more in control. On Monday, he dropped it off at the shop and gave them my number so they could keep me updated. He also told me he confronted my sister about how things played out. I sent him my original Reddit post too, he read the comments and apparently showed them to her. She still hasn't unblocked me, and from what I've heard, was not happy about the fact my BIL is actually listening to me. I also shared the post and some comments with my parents and brother since no one really believed me before. My parents still don't fully get it, but they've at least stopped pushing back. My brother is more understanding now, though for some reason he mostly wanted to talk about how many people saw the post. I don't think either of those three still care, really, and I'm fine if they see this do better. Anyway, I went to see the PC today, Wednesday here. The shop said it's mostly salvageable. It needs a very careful internal clean and a few fans replaced, and some wiring fixed, but overall the main parts survived somehow. BL told me he'll cover the cost of the repair, no hesitation. When I brought up what my sister said about not being able to pay even $200, he said she's lying. He also said he's not sure Max actually did all the damage. He thinks the door was left open on purpose, or that my sister might have even done some of it herself. Based on the height of the tower and where the crackers ended up, it didn't quite add up to a toddler acting alone. Apparently, she's been telling him I have a gambling addiction. I did get a bit hooked on Genshin like 4 years ago I guess, and that maybe this whole thing will wake me up, which is new. She used to be supportive or at least indifferent. No idea where that switch came from, so yeah, that's where we're at. My PC is being cleaned up and fixed, and BAL is covering the cost. Sister still has me blocked and won't talk to me. Still tempted to start something with her TBH, especially if she actually did all of this on purpose. Still not ruling out small claims court depending on how things go. Thanks again to everyone who responded to the original post. Seeing how many people understood what happened really helped me hold the line with my family when I felt like I was losing my mind. One thing I've been turning over in my head lately is what if my sister did do something to my setup on purpose? I don't want to believe that, it feels like a stretch, but the more I think about it, the less so, I guess. But then I remember how she acted when I asked her to keep Max out of the office. The eye roll and the "he's just curious" comments like she didn't take any of it seriously. And now hearing from my BL that she's been saying I have a crippling gambling gaming whatever addiction and needed to grow up. It's just weird. She used to be cool about it. Never super into games herself, but she got that it was important to me. If something changed, I don't know when or why. And if this was some weird way to make a point or teach me a lesson, that's messed up. You're not our mom. How about talking first instead of this? I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the more I think about it, the less it makes sense that Max could have done all of that alone. It's sick if she blamed her own son for it, so yeah. Not accusing anyone outright, but that thought is there now, and if you're my sister reading this, which I'm guessing you are, because I bet you'd love to look at the comments that are on your side a lot, I don't know why you blocked me. I don't know what shifted in your head about all this. But if you actually had anything to do with damaging my setup, whether it was on purpose or just through complete carelessness. Fuck. You. You know I worked hard for that. You know what that rig meant to me, and you know I would never do something like this to your stuff. And if Max really did all of it on his own, I hope you're paying closer attention now. Not for my sake, but for his. Read the comments on my first post again, from other parents and people with younger siblings who clearly know better than you. That's all, thanks for reading, those who did. Sum of comments. Commenter: wait, I thought the whole family was blowing up your phone telling you how mean you were. Reply: yes, a week ago, before my first post. Is there something I can clarify for you here? My sister was talking incredible smack about me to them, making it seem like I screamed at her child over a minor mistake. I do see the people going haha blowing up her phone, and I do not understand what is wrong with the wording. Commenter: I'm really glad things are turning for the better. But what about the other damages? Reply: my chair is okay, the cushion, legs and back are stained with red permanent marker, but I've learned to live with it. Coworkers and I are trying to find a chemical to fix the situation on the cushions, but an ethanol solution, small amounts, I don't want to ruin the chair further, has slowly been working at cleaning the other parts. Being a janitor does have its perks. Keyboard, I could not find all of the keycaps that were pulled off. I replaced the missing ones with an old keyboard's ones, both mechanical, so it's a bit awkward but it works for now. I might get custom ones for it if I find some that fit. The cracked monitor on the other hand needs to be replaced. I guess calling it cracked was a kindness in itself. Still got the other two left, and at least it wasn't the most expensive one, but yeah. 3. Commenter: why aren't you just having your bill pay for a new keyboard and monitor? Or professional cleaning for the chair? That's all part of the repairs. Reply: we are waiting to see if my sister confesses to anything. If so, she will be paying out of her own pocket, and paying back, not my bail. If she confesses and refuses, then, well, the computer is essential, but the keyboard works and I still have 2 monitors. That's why I am willing to wait for the other damage to be solved. The addiction. I'll admit, during COVID, I did spend $300 on Ganyu when she came out, but that was the worst of it. And it was so worth it. I don't play much anymore, mostly stuck on Marvel Rivals RN, but the overall margin from Genshin release to this day I've spent under $600. I get it, even that might look crazy to people who don't play video games, but sheesh. Gambling addiction. Bruh, she should be more concerned of what I spend on Pokemon packs in this economy, if she's gotta be concerned over something. New update post. My 25F, sister, 30F, is spiraling, but I don't know how or if I should help. A few weeks ago, I made a post, not here, about how my sister's toddler, 3M, almost destroyed my PC setup. Long story short, she and her son were staying with me for one night, he got into my office, and the whole setup got wrecked with juice and cracker bits shoved into the tower. The situation was awful, and when I asked my sister for help covering the damage, she made an excuse and blamed me instead. It became whole family drama. My sister blocked me and acted like the whole thing was my fault, but her husband, my BL, reached out on his own. He checked the damage himself, helped take the PC in for repairs, and ended up covering the costs because he was genuinely embarrassed by the way she acted. He even started questioning whether their toddler could have done that much damage on his own, especially after the kid couldn't even open the door by himself. My BL thought maybe my sister left it open or did something herself. Within a week of that, my BL confronted her and well, she kicked him out of the house. Like, full on, told him to get the hell out, packed up his things, dumped them and left them by the curb like he was a stray dog. He told me she screamed that he was betraying her and taking the side of that fucking Reddit bitch, meaning me. She also apparently accused him of conspiring and cheating on her with me to humiliate her publicly, which... What? She hasn't let him see their kid since. No visits. No phone calls. She's gone full black hole mode and is completely unreachable, threatening cops if he goes near. She's blocked me, my brother, even some extended family, and is only talking to our parents, who are still enabling her, but I think it's only so they can keep Max at arm's length. Meanwhile, I'm hearing rumors she's been telling people I'm unhinged, psychotic, and that I made the whole thing up. She told one of our cousins that I lured her kid into the office like some kind of trap or setup. I don't know if this is postpartum related, or if something snapped, or if she's just always been this vindictive and I didn't want to see it. But I'm scared. Scared for her kid. Scared for her husband. And yeah, I'm also scared for myself, because if she's willing to ruin her whole marriage and turn the family against me just to protect a lie. My parents want to keep it under wraps, but I know my BL wants to get her help. I want to get her help too, but I don't know where to start or what to do. What can I start with to possibly push her towards someone who can help her out? Has someone here dealt with a situation like this before? I feel helpless, as I know she is an adult and has free will, but I fear for her safety and my nephew's safety as well. My BAL voiced wanting to divorce her and told my parents he will get his son whether they approve or not. His side of the family is furious with mine and I've no idea where I stand because yeah, I guess I started this. Is this salvageable? If so, how? What can I do? Who can I contact within the States? Is there anything I can do even? Does anyone know? Top comments. Commenter, I think your parents need to talk to her because this is crazy. The kid did what 3 yos do, but she failed as a mother by not minding him. Your BL stepped up to fix it. But her reaction is nuts. There has to be more here. I think your parents are in a better place to figure out what is going on. Stories number 3. My wife cried because she was cruel to me, and still haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Hello, I've never posted here, I'm sorry, I really don't know exactly how to start to tell this story, especially, because I know it makes me look like a total prick. My wife and I have been together for around 4 years, married after 6 months dating, and it's been mostly a dream since then, except for this one thing. She just likes to laugh and goof around, and a lot of her joking around tends to hit in the opposite effect than intended. I'm normally not gonna get upset about that kind of thing. It's not an everyday thing, but maybe weekly. Okay, ton of context out of the way now. Last night my wife and I both had a hard day at work. I think. We didn't get to talk about it, because the minute we got home there was more work, you know how it is, dogs made a hell of a mess. Yeen, so we were pretty stressed and out of it, and all I wanted to do was watch the movie she picked out and go to bed, but then she decided it would be funny to drop a couple jokes about my appearance, specifically about one aspect of that appearance I have problems with. That day, I was just so tired, and upset already, and I just looked at her and said, "Ow," and she laughed again, but I didn't drop it, and I insisted on an answer to why she would say that about me. She asked what I meant, and I asked what response she expected when she made fun of me for my appearance, particularly part of it that she knew I felt bad about. I almost did the children's empathy talk, where you go, and how would you feel if someone did that to you? But I knew that would be condescending and wrong, so I didn't. Anyway, I wouldn't have gotten much out, because this is when the crying started. I didn't get to see it stop for long all night. Just big, heaving sobs, and shaking, telling me that she thinks she is going to have a panic attack all night long, because I scared her by being so serious. I am not an angry person. I've never been violent. I never moved from the seat when I brought up the mocking thing. She had no reason to think that, and I could think of only one reason for her to cry like that, and this is where I'm gonna sound like a prick, and why I'm doing this anonymously. She saw that I was calling her out for making fun of me for no reason and wanted to change the vibe and feeling in the room as quickly as possible, to instead focus on her having an episode. This isn't the first time this has happened, but it's the first time I've noticed a pattern. Step 1, she upset someone. Step 2, she will have a panic attack if you don't comfort her right now, actually. Step 3, I shove aside any and all feelings I have on the matter, no matter what it is about, apparently including mocking me. But if I didn't, she would have a genuine medical episode and we could wind up in the hospital. If the person offended is not me, they may also be brought in for emotional support, but I will be. Do I really think that's what it is? I want to say no, say bad, but a part of me does. Don't get me wrong, 99.9999% of me isn't a prick, but that very small part. It's something I cannot stop thinking about, and I don't know if I want to bury myself alive or go to marriage counseling, because one of us have a problem, because if she is doing that, what? But because she isn't, instead I have the problem, and currently feel like I am going through some kind of psycho-werewolf transformation type thing. Totally normal and cool with my wife right up until the full moon is out, and then I turn into a rabid animal and accuse her of faking her mental health diagnosis, apparently. Like the monster you are. XD. Comments. Commenter 1. Reminds me of a girl I used to call a friend. They could always dish it out, no breaks. The moment they're called out on it, they're a victim. If you feel this works for you, that's your business. But I don't talk to that girl anymore. There is nothing worse than to find out how alone you are in a room with another person you thought you could speak to and be understood by. And psyching yourself out of judging, quite fairly and justifiably, someone who refuses to acknowledge the most basic feelings you have is a bad move for yourself. She hurt you. You tried to address it. She didn't want to stick around for anything further, so she checked out. That's the facts. Crying works on empathetic people because it signals that things have gone too far, that some harm has taken place, and that you should stop whatever you're doing. But what you're doing is defending yourself in a civilized way. You're the hurt one, and the only one that should have stopped and needs to stop is her. That's nothing you should be second-guessing. Commenter 2. I knew a girl like this too. She called my friend a fexking bitch, and when I tried to get the true story from her, she made herself the victim and was cruel to me to win the argument. We caught her stealing people's things on multiple occasions. Someone put a note up about their food not being communal, and she sent them huge paragraphs about uncalled for passive aggression and her low blood sugar. Marriage is far more complicated than a housemate. I don't talk to that girl anymore, but I believe everyone has the capacity to change. OP's wife is 100% trying to manipulate the situation to make herself the victim after realizing she was a complete dick to her husband. That would be a deal breaker for me. If OP wants to fix things, he has to address this toxic and manipulative behavior from his wife, demand she go to therapy, and lay out major boundaries. The cruel comments are something that can be stopped immediately. If she does make one, but is aware that it's cruel after and apologizes without a fucking panic attack, then she has shown she is willing to change. Therapy takes a while, so of course understandings must be made there. But the cruel comments? Lay that boundary down now, OP. It's not like she can't change and stop that today, if she wants. Commenter 3. I went straight to she's trying to manipulate the situation. Commenter 4. Absolutely manipulative, I think, aside from being cruel. And this here, because this is when the crying started, I didn't get to see it stop for long all night. Just big, heaving sobs, and shaking, telling me that she thinks she is going to have a panic attack all night long, because I scared her by being so serious. OP is going to end up getting accused of abuse himself if he is not careful. Commenter 5. Please believe it, your wife behaving that way should be unacceptable to you. That is not the behavior of a loving partner, of someone who respects you. She is being a bully, aside from dramatic, but then turning it around to make you feel like the villain of the piece. It is a load of BS. Do not fall for it. Commenter 6. This 100% this is emotional manipulation and abuse. Absolutely absurd. I couldn't handle this. Update. So I didn't think I would update, because after we talked about my thoughts on the issue, it was an even bigger panic attack and sobbing and asking if I thought she was evil and all this other stuff that made me feel like a devil incarnate forever, even beginning to doubt her. We went back to the usual and I had to deal with more of it. I didn't mention in the last one, but this issue she had didn't just apply to me, it was for everyone and everything that could upset her, and no matter what therapy or meds she was prescribed, it did nothing at all. It wore me down so bad I was sleeping badly and just about lost my job because I couldn't focus, because what if she had a panic attack at work? What if I wasn't there and she needed me? We had been genuinely talking about her quitting her job, at least until we found something that worked to combat the stress and anxiety she seemed to be feeling all the damn time, all of which made me feel all the more pathetic after I found out she was cheating on me. The guy worked with her, and reached out to tell me because he didn't know she was married. I knew I couldn't confront her in person because her reaction would likely make me think the guy made it all up, somehow, despite having texts he showed me from Ann to her number, and photos I'd rather not discuss. I just moved out and took my dog. Calm down, she never even liked him that much, hasn't asked about him once. Anyway, I texted her that I knew and was going to talk to a lawyer and asked that she did the same. A lot of crying voicemails and saying she didn't know what I was talking about, followed by trickle-troughing in text messages while I was on my friend's couch. We're still in the middle of everything, but it's pretty cut and dry, hardly any marital assets worth speaking of, and the lease is in her name. I honestly am surprised by how little heartbreak I actually felt, coupled with a weird sense of relief. I definitely thought getting cheated on would be the worst thing anyone could do to their partner, but if it wasn't a dick move I would thank her. Anyway, thank you all so much for the advice, even if I was too stupid or weak of spine to take it at the time. It was helpful for just a little bit to not feel crazy. Comments. Commenter 1. That's because she killed any love you had for her by constantly belittling you and then guilting you. Commenter 2. Not loving someone anymore sure does make it easier to leave them. Commenter 3. Yep, once the love fades, the clarity hits hard, and walking away starts to feel like freedom. Commenter 4. A lot of times cheaters are either the most secure or insecure people in general when they are having an affair. Sounds like some of her anxiety may have been made way worse by the fact she knows just how low her morals are. So she assumes the world is the same. I am thrilled to hear you're walking away. Even if she wasn't cheating, people who slowly weaponize tears are absolutely as terrible to be with as some who are mildly abusive. They slowly make you sit on edge 24/7. Make you always feel like you have to be perfect. It can be torture. I'm not glad you got cheated on, but it's at least silver lining that it's a great excuse to just walk away. Commenter 5. Wow, I'm sorry you have to deal with this. Did her coworker tell you when the affair started? And does that coincide with when her panic attacks started? Reply, not when it started, but when they started getting worse. Like it went from an occasional thing to every day I had to be on guard for what I or other people could say to her, because she was going through such a hard time. Stories number 4. Aita for speaking my truth. My sister is my dad's golden child, and no matter how much I try to get him to see me as her equal it never works, and I believe she takes advantage of it. Usually is not much of an issue, but this week some things happened which were the cherry on top. I'm hopefully getting married next year and she asked if she could invite her in-laws because they will come next time she comes over. I said okay only because my parents are paying, but I know she just wants to do it for the attention. So she will have at least 4 people from her political family there and for sure parade them around. Also, my parents are about to have a big anniversary in November, but they are postponing any celebration because my sister, who lives overseas, doesn't want to travel so long until things are even calmer. But last month she went on a holiday to a country next to hers. I was having lunch with them and my fiance when they informed me they are moving their big celebration to next year and I couldn't handle it anymore. I said to my dad, of course you will postpone, we should all stop living until she is here. He said it was uncalled for and I was making a big deal about something that had nothing to do with me, and my mom said they will of course have something intimate and I was as important, but I don't believe it. I stood up and said to my dad, I am so sorry, the love of your life is not around, but the most important woman in your life should be your wife, not your daughter. After that I left. The next day I felt bad and tried to call my mom, who refuses to speak with me and just sent me a text telling me I was bitter and was hurtful and need help. But they, and particularly my dad, hurt me with their desire of giving her such a prevalent role in their lives when she has lived abroad for like 10 years. My dad blocked me and my fiancé is worried they won't pay for the wedding anymore. My sister, trying to be the center of the universe as usual, tried calling me but I didn't reply. I gave it a few days but my parents haven't contacted me. My sister stopped trying to get in contact with me but she contacted my fiancé to check on me. I visited my grand's today and she told me I need to apologize because my parents love us both but we are different and so got different things, so I began to wonder if I was the asshole. I just want some days where I am the most important person to my parents and still believe that my sister's golden child status should be addressed and corrected, but maybe I was the asshole for the way I expressed it. Edit, I am 26M, my fiancé or fiancée is a woman. English is not my first language, sorry. I also want to clear out I don't think my parents are bad people but just bad parents. Edit 2, this is long time coming. My sister, 33, and my dad have a little club. She is smart, reading since 4 and all that. Since she was very young my dad used to take her to visit his clients in a nearby city, and sometimes she would stay with one of his best friends who owned a bookstore, and she has a very large book collection that my parents refuse to throw away, even when I tell them to send them to the woman, dad's best friend, or my sister. They talk almost daily and discuss economics, politics, etc. I am not interested on any of those, and yes, he tried to take me with him but I was always bored and did things like going to my games or getting us stadium tickets for our team, but I feel he likes her more. My mom on the other hand has ups and downs with my sister because they are very different. The last issue was my sister's weddings 5 years ago. Yes, she had 2, one intimate where she lives and another in our country, and my mom wanted to have her dresses made from a special fabric and my sister put a budget limit on how much the dress was going to be and even wanted to wear the same dress for both things. They had an argument but in the end she had 2 dresses but with the budget. She didn't even let me bring my girlfriend, future wife, because she wanted it to be intimate but there were like 50 people there. My mom told my fiancé she would be buying or making her dress singular. My mom and fiancé have a very good relationship, so I am sure my sister was involved somehow in convincing her of that. Sister has a PhD that my parents paid for and doesn't work in the family businesses at all, only consults sometimes and pretends she doesn't want to be paid for it. My parents supported her until she got a job, and every time she graduated for the master's and the PhD we had to go to Europe to be there. I work in a family business so I know they have to talk to me eventually even if they are angry. I could give more and more examples of their favoritism towards her. I also don't hate her, I just wish she would let me shine on my days. And yes, the wedding would be a gift, but if they were willing to pay for 2 and many dresses and honeymoon, then I deserve the same treatment. Update 1, in case anybody wants to know, you might be happy about this. I got a message from my dad telling me to be in a family Zoom call, to say everything I want and everybody will take turns. He said if I didn't attend he will pull out his funding from our business, so I had to go, but told him I will ask my fiancé to be in too. It was me, fiancé, parents, sister and her husband. The moment I connected I noticed my sister was pissed. I was the first to speak. I told them all my feelings and even brought up the fact hey are treating my wedding differently, and even what some commenters brought up about my parents leaving the businesses to my sister. I spoke about how hurtful it was they preferred her, they seem to talk to her about serious things and she gets so much and they all think she is great etc. Nobody said anything or interrupted me, which is very common in serious family talks. Then they asked if my fiancé wanted to say anything and she bravely said she felt she was not part of the family and she always thought they thought of her as a daughter and she stands by me. Then it was my mom's turn and she told me she was sorry about my feelings, that they tried to do things I liked and that they love us both equally. She said it was sad I pretended everything was okay and they didn't know how deep it was, but she still thinks I need help. She then told my fiancé she loves her but my sister is her only daughter. Then it was my dad's turn. He said he is sorry I feel he doesn't like me, but he isn't sorry for loving his kid. He said I didn't mind the tickets, cars, or even living in a house rent-free and he is disappointed. He said everything they own will be divided 50-50 when they died, and if I didn't want my sister to have anything to do with our business then I can buy him out. He said they will pay for my wedding no matter what because it's something they always wanted to do for their kids but are not happy with me. He also told my finance that she should be grateful and not greedy. By then I was upset with the lack of apologies and the attack of my fiancé, but I held it. Then my BL told me he didn't know how I feel about his family and he just assumed his nuclear family would come just like I was at his brother's wedding. He said no hard feelings over it. Then it was my sister. A thing about my sister is that when she is truly angry she doesn't swear or screams, she is just really cold, hard, and to the neck. She said she could feel me distancing at around 10 to 11 when she visited from uni and I was not included in some conversations with my dad. She said she accepted being my guardian at 18 if my parents died, so she had to be brought up to speed on all matters and didn't want to stress me out. She said she could have been a better sister and she was sorry I grew so full of resentment, but that her career path had nothing to do with me. She reminded me I was offered to go abroad but I didn't want to. She reminded me that I have gone on holidays with her and let me know those holidays were paid by her or her husband, not my parents. News to me. She said she asked me about her in-laws coming because they need to plan the trip around my wedding. She said my fiancé and I were only 7 months together when she got married and that she didn't want my parents to have to pay for her trip. She said that the reason she doesn't want to get paid for consulting is because she thinks is not right, but that next time she will invoice me her actual hourly rate since I am so insulted by it. She said she went to the Netherlands, from Germany, because she was truly burned out and is pathetic. I think is the same as taking a 10-hour plane. She said my grandma was the one that told her everything I said because my parents tried to protect me and that she was done with me for the moment until I get therapy. And the last thing she said was that she loves me but doesn't like me at all right now. This is obvious summary, but the way she said the things is something I have seen her do to people but never to me, and I almost cried, but she had no niceness in the eyes. My parents said they can get me therapy or I can find it myself, and that if I don't try something to help myself the wedding is the last thing I will get from them. What made me feel worse is how my sister spoke to me. She has never talked to me like this even when we argued, so I know she is serious. I got my A handed to me. Yes, I am jealous and the asshole. I am upset my fiancé is crying, but I think I need to evaluate what my next move is. Also, we are from LATAM. Update 1. I haven't been able to sleep and decided to read all the comments again. I tried calling my sister because even if yes I am jealous of her, it still hurts me the way she talked to me. She refused to talk to me, but I could speak with my BL. He said the reason she doesn't want to talk to me is because I hurt her deeply and she feels emotionally drained by me and knows if we talk she will say more hurtful things. This made me realize how much I love my sister and the problem is me. I still have bad feelings and feel I have been slighted. I cannot say I am magically a different person, but my family has never talked to me like they did and my sister has always defended me and I thought she did it to look good. I am beginning to think maybe she actually loves me. I am very confused. My BIL is an amazing man too and he told me to just get help and give it time, but I am unsure what to do or where to go. He told me to research therapists and pick one and he would help me choose if I want his help. He also said I should stop thinking my family doesn't care, that they are not perfect but they do their best. But he also asked me what is my fiance's family contributing to the wedding or our lives, and I could not think of anything. She lives with me, works with me, and her parents are not paying anything because they say my family is better off. I don't know where that will go, but I did tell her I need help because I became a monster, so no wedding until my family issue is fixed. She is crying but said she understands. My grandma said that she told my sister because my parents just told her there was an argument, but not what I said. Looking back, what I said is disgusting and I feel bad about it. She said my family wouldn't react so strongly unless they love me a lot. I asked my dad if I can take some mental days off, not a thing in my country, and he said it sounds like a good thing and reminded me they love me and just want me to be happy and not just pretend to be happy. Also, the books are in her walk-in closet in her bedroom at my parents'. They still have a lot of my stuff in my bedroom, and my parents said I am welcome to Sunday meeting whenever I feel ready to go. I also must admit that she did 2 weddings because my parents asked if she would be willing to do so. My mom wanted to get her super fancy dresses, and at the end they got 2 dresses for like €600 because my sister put a limit of 300 per dress. I think maybe I am jealous of her because she is actually better than me. I just don't want to feel like this anymore or hurting my family anymore. So I guess I can thank Reddit for the hard comments. I have so many issues and so much jealousy about my sister to get over, I don't know where to start. I am beginning to doubt if I am even ready to get married. But if the comments had been full of support, I would probably not see it. And of course my family call was really something hard to be in. Update 2. It has been a very interesting time for me and my family. I wanted to share because you, Redditors, are brutal but fair. Some told me I am rambling, and yes I do, so I try my best this time. My family, after taking some days off work to process it all, my BL found me a therapist and I started immediately. We have also done group sessions and couple ones, aka me and dad, me and mom, me and sister. It has helped me see all the issues, and we are learning to communicate better as a family so nobody, me, feels unloved or unappreciated ever again. I now know I have a long road ahead, but I want to be better. My parents say they just want the best for me and they want me to feel loved. Also, I am moving back home. After high school I moved out because I wanted to do things like my sister, but I feel it is the best option, so when my parents gave me the option I thought it over and agreed to. Baby steps but good ones. My sister, she didn't talk to me at all for about 10 days, and this might sound stupid but it is the longest she hasn't communicated with me ever. It hurt me a lot and I knew I hurt her a lot. In our session she showed me a list of many messages people send about me. They were all positive, praising my talents and all. She said we are different but great in our own ways, and the reason I usually don't hear how great I am is because people don't praise me directly. She also told me most of the time when something happens that my parents know she might give me shit about, they simply don't tell her, so I don't have drama, and joked maybe I am the true golden child since they shield me. She is talking to me again and has helped me a lot. Am I still jealous of her? Yes, but I want to transform that into admiration. My ex, while I know my feelings are mine and I am responsible for them, my ex did throw gasoline to it. She was always the first to point out anything my sister got that I didn't, or how much money everybody spent on things, etc. Long story short, we broke up. Long story, I told her I was considering moving back with my parents and maybe getting a master or something like that. She was not pleased with it and kept asking about the wedding, but I told her I could not think about marriage at this moment and maybe we could also use a break. I also told her I would give her 3 months to find a place to stay or she could pay rent on the house. My parents own it. She was very angry, told me I had to marry her and if not at least let her live rent-free and cover utilities and food because I was breaking up out of the blue. I told her that was the reason I was giving her 3 months and she could use her salary since she didn't use a single cent while we were together. Then things got weird and bad. She told me she was calling her family, not leaving the house, and will sue me for mental distress. I did panicked. She said the same back in the day when I tried breaking up, but then convinced me she was the only one that loved me. But this time I called my family and they told me to lock myself out the house and call a friend of my sister's. He came and told her she can sue, she can do whatever, she is not getting anything, and that my offer of the 3 months was off and he wanted her out ASAP. He took a video with the state of everything and told her if things are damaged I would sue her. Turns out my sister told him this might be coming, so he got info from her and was prepared for it and did it as a favor to her since they are kindergarten friends. A couple of my cousins stayed with me until she left days later and her dad told me I would go to hell. She is still working in the company and will have a job as long as she performs, but I have no relation with her at all anymore and haven't been to the office. Yes, there is nepotism and my family hires each other. But nobody would take away her job because she does an okay job and is always on time. I hope she finds love again, just not with me. And me, I am single, at home and most likely unemployed in the next month since my parents say I should focus on myself and my mental health. My BAL has been one of my rocks through this and he truly cares for all my family and we are becoming true friends. My grandma let me know nobody liked my ex and she is happy we are not together anymore. She says they all started disliking her when she got upset they didn't get her expensive things for our first Christmas. My friends also told me they didn't like her. Turns out everybody wanted it to end and some said so jokingly over the years but they thought she helped me out and made me happy so they dealt with her. I hope I get better luck in love but I need to be better too. I might take up the offer to start over abroad but I feel more positive. And yes, my sister and I are trying to find common ground. She truly is amazing and the more I get to know her and her flaws and weird things like her lemon juice obsession, the more I like her. At the end speaking my truth got me what I needed and while I was a white now I can admit how privileged I am. Still not perfect, but a little less Update 3. Hello my brutal but fair friends. I wanted to give you my final update before but a Redditor let me know about a very cruel post mocking me and it sent me into a spiral. I am lucky to feel stronger and want to update you mainly to conclude this chapter of my life and also because I have received a lot of support and kindness and love I feel is just the right thing. I will also try to keep it straight. My ex, since I left the company we have not talked much but she became upset when I told her I was not coming back and we will be selling it. My dad made a deal with a friend that every employee that wanted to would get the option to stay at least 3 years and would keep their position and not be demoted. I told her that but she said it was unfair, that people already treat her different and she feels people like her less. I told her I haven't say anything but I know people were not crazy about her before and it doesn't surprise me that now that she is not related to any boss they are not putting up with her. We did have a big conversation about my future and it is obvious she was not with me for the right reasons. My sister, I told her about my posts and she asked to read them. After a little thought I told her my username and she said she wanted to check it out and we can talk about it later. She was very upset people were mean to me but very thankful people called me out because I really needed that. She said her lemon juice thing was not that weird and teased me about it. In getting to know her more I have also been told things like they have lost 2 babies but I was not told since I didn't seem interested in their life and she was afraid I wouldn't take it well and it broke me. It made me realize my sister is really a human and not myth and she has suffered things I can't even understand and made me really ashamed I was not there for her because I was being selfish and arrogant. Even in the pain she thought of how I would feel because yes my sister does love me. She has assured me she loves me unconditionally but now she is starting to like me again. My Bill and parents, my BL is an amazing man. I really hope one day I am like him in my own version. I get more and more why he truly deserves to be with my sister and he is full of love and patience. We had a long conversation about them having kids and I told him to please don't think I am an obstacle. He was really moved because he told me they were considering not trying at all until I were better but I know in my heart I would not forgive myself if I prevented them to have babies. My parents told me now that I am making changes in life they would like to spend seasons in Germany and the only reason they didn't before is because they wanted to be close to me. Turns out they wanted to be close to me all along, I just was too stupid to notice. I am moving to Germany. I decided to just try something new. My sister and Bill are helping me with all the paperwork I will be going under an applicant permit and I feel very happy about it. My parents are helping me translate my documents, do everything to make them legal and all. I am applying for a master degree and will get support from my family, sale of the business and a little job my Bill got me. I am just finalizing things and will be moving at the end of the year. My sister owns her own department and she will host me until I find my own. I am already taking German classes and my Bill helps me practice too. That is the reason I know without a doubt my ex is not for me, because when I told her I was moving to Germany her only question was if she could come too and if my parents would be willing to help her out since she doesn't get a wedding now. She has been posting things about how my sister and how she destroyed her life with her schemes but my sister's friend sent her a notice letting her know we would sue her and she stopped naming her and now it is all passive-aggressive posts without my sister's name. I apologized to my sister but she only asked me if I would ever get back with my ex and when I said no she told me she couldn't care less about what my ex did. I am working very hard on my mental health. I know it may take months or years to be in a place where I have zero jealousy but I also know it is for the best. I have not started dating again even if some friend suggested it because I want to be a worthy man and I am moving so I see no point. My therapist is amazing and since we do the sessions online it shouldn't be a problem. Sometimes I reevaluate some memories and realize people did like me, did love me, did care about me but I just couldn't see it. My sister is truly just extraordinary and I couldn't see it because I didn't truly knew her and was so focused about myself. I now know I am also extraordinary in my own way or at least she keeps telling me that and I should stop comparing myself to her or anybody else. I never really appreciated how much my parents thought of me or did for me, but now I know my family loves me and we are not perfect and I am not perfect, but I will never take them for granted. I am looking forward for a better future, a better relationship with my family, and if I am lucky enough, a new nephew or niece. Thank you for all you have told me and for being the kick I needed to change my life. I am very grateful I came to this site. Update 4. Hello to the few asking about an update. I recently read all my posts and I feel very ashamed and proud of them. Ashamed because I was such an idiot, and proud for the progress so far. Things have changed a little, but it is all positive for us. My parents, they now do seasonal or small stays in Germany. We have taken small hobbies together like wine painting and we keep getting to know each other better. My parents might eventually end up moving here but is unclear yet. The celebration of the anniversary is still postponed, but they went on a very fancy trip as a second honeymoon and they don't seem to care much for that. My BL, he's my brother now. I also became friends with his brother and they introduced me to their football and pool groups. I eventually made other friends but keep hanging with them a lot. My sister, she says she likes me again, which honestly is the best feeling in the world. They are starting to try again soon and I am just excited for them. Sometimes when I feel any jealousy I actually tell her and she takes me step by step to see where it came from. We have had arguments since we are human, but nothing so big or permanent, and I feel she is more comfortable with me now. My ex, I don't keep up much with her. We were supposed to be friends but she was so negative I simply blocked her everywhere. All I know is she is dating someone else and telling everybody around she is so glad she didn't marry me, which same. Me, I got into the program I wanted. I arrived at the end of 2021 and stayed a bit with my sister and BL. There was a lot of debates over staying in the same city, but I decided to do so. I moved out and decided to give student life a try, but I still see my sister at least 2 times a week, and same with my parents when they are here. I am still in therapy, learning ways to improve and bike everywhere. I had a couple flings since I arrived but still do not feel ready for a relationship. I want to find a partner but is scary and I need to be able to do so without being manipulated. 1 year ago I made a disgusting remark and now it feels my life is just going up. Thank you guys. Update 5. I recently showed this to my girlfriend and she is surprised how things happened. I am very happy and love my life now. I will be an uncle soon, almost done with my new degree, and have a great relationship with my family. This is for the few people that ask for updates, which probably will be the only ones reading. No drama or anything bad to report. And now I am also obsessed with lemon juice. Thank you Reddit for kicking my ass and improving my life. Stories number 5. Aita for not letting my friends use my backyard for their wedding because they do not want me to bring a +1. Here is the situation. Last summer, I bought my grandparents' house. This house was the hangout spot for my friends and I throughout our childhood. This includes my friend, Dave. The house has a sizable amount of land, which includes a lake and a gazebo. I was supposed to buy the house with my now ex-girlfriend, Leslie. But, going through the process of getting approved to buy, I found out that she has massive amounts of credit card and personal debt that she hid from me throughout our 4 years together. I decided to break up as a result. That was about 6 months ago. I met Leslie because Dave's long-term girlfriend, Kim, is Leslie's cousin. Dave and Kim are engaged and set to get married in April. When I was buying the house, they asked if they could have the ceremony at the gazebo, which I agreed to do. In December, I started dating again. Leslie has not taken this well at all. She thinks we are going to get back together and has tried multiple times to make that happen. I have told her in no uncertain terms that isn't happening. Dave and Kim have asked me to not bring a +1 to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I have told them that this request is ridiculous. This wedding is happening at my house, using my land, and I am not allowed to bring a date because of a crazy ex. If that is the case, then they need to find a new venue for the wedding. They are pissed about this given the short time frame of when the wedding is supposed to happen. So, we are at an impasse. Edit. I have seen a few things brought up a number of times in the comments, so I will quickly address them here. I am fully aware of the liability issues, which is why I purchased, and they reimbursed me for a special event insurance policy which will provide 100% coverage for any damages, claims, injuries, etc. to any of the property or persons up to $2 million. It is one of the first things we did after I agreed to have the event in my home. The wedding will have a maximum, if every comes, of 75 guests, 5 catering staff, and 5 security staff. The security is because this is an open area that anyone walking past can access. The house has hosted events twice this size and logistically it has been fine. On the property are 2 cottages, one with 1 bathroom and the other with 2 bathrooms. The only portion of my house that will not be locked during the wedding is the finished basement. The basement has 2 bathrooms. Every person who is single, i.e. not in an established relationship, received an invitation with a +1, including me and Leslie. This talk came after I sent in my return card and indicated I was bringing a +1. Now, they are saying they do not want me to have the +1 because Leslie blew up about it and they are afraid of a blow-up at the wedding. Leslie indicated she intends to bring someone on her card. I do not know if she will actually bring someone. Update. So, I met with Dave this morning. We talked for almost 2 hours about everything. I laid it out that I thought he was, at best, a shitty friend. I went through our long history of various things over the years that has me questioning our friendship. That was the bulk of our conversation. We then turned to the breakup with Leslie and the sideshow of the last 6 months. Throughout the last 6 months, despite Leslie's craziness, I have bent over backwards to try and accommodate her feelings. She has shown up to my house in the middle of the night. I did not go for a restraining order. When I go out, I do not go to places I know that her and her family like to go. She has implied to her family and mutual friends, at various times, that I cheated and/or that I took advantage of her financially. Neither of which is true at all. I have held my tongue to not embarrass her about these things in front of her friends and family. Dave known all that and yet is demanding, once again, that I put Leslie's feelings before my own. I said, you and everyone need to stop coddling her like she is a fucking child. Dave concedes that Leslie has been crazy and ridiculous since the breakup. But, he says, she feels she did not get closure after the relationship. She wants to have an evening where she can talk to you to get that closure. He also told me that Leslie has been very vigilant about paying off her debt and paid off almost $10,000 of the credit card debt. She wants to talk to me about her progress. To see if that might cause me to change my mind. It will not. I asked him, so, do you expect me to go to the wedding and talk to her? Because I have her blocked everywhere and, date or not, I do not plan to say a single mumbling word to her. He said, I fully expect she would lose it if y'all do not talk at the wedding. I told him if that is the case, then, for the good of my property, I can't have Leslie come. If she is so unstable that I need to be coerced into a conversation with her, she is too unsafe to be a guest, in any capacity in my home. So, I have told him, based on what he has told me, Leslie cannot come to my house or on my land. I am willing to still have the wedding at my place, but I cannot trust Leslie won't do something given what you are telling me. Dave lost it at this point. He said, fuck you and your shit. I don't need it. So, I said, then the wedding is off. He left. So, that is the state of things. New update. People have asked for an update. Now that the original date of the wedding has passed, I think it is appropriate. In the weeks following the discussion with Dave from my last update, a number of our mutual friends reached out to me and asked if everything was okay. I ignored these messages and went about living my life. Dave reached out to my grandparents. My grandparents said I need to talk to Dave and figure it out. I ignored them. About a month after my last update, Dave's mom reached out. She said, Opie, I hope you are doing well. Can I come and listen to you? I know a number of people what to tell you what they think, but I just want to hear you. I will say as few or as many words as you want. If you do not want to, I completely understand. Her tone and tenor was different than everyone else, so I decided to meet up. We met on the back porch of my house. I told her everything, the breakup with Leslie, including why we broke up, getting the invitation with the +1, the subsequent meeting with Dave and Kim rescinding the +1 because Leslie was upset, and then meeting up with Dave and everything discussed with him and my decision to say they cannot use my property for the wedding. After I explained everything, I was pretty upset. She asked, can I give you a hug? I said yes. She gave me a hug while I cried for a bit. She asked if there is anything I wanted her to say. I asked her for her perspective on everything. She talked about how she did not really know about why Leslie and I broke up. She had heard rumors about me cheating and the like, but she didn't believe them. But, she didn't know why we broke up because she thought we were happy and had a good relationship. She admitted she was upset by it because she was looking forward to coming to our future wedding, Dave and I having kids around the same age, and those kids spending time together at her house like Dave and I used to do. But, ultimately she felt it was not her place to say anything since I am a grown man entitled to live my life how I see fit. She said Dave can be a jackass and was being one here. She told me Leslie's behavior was out of line, but she did deeply empathize with Leslie. Dave's mom told me things I did not know about her breakup with a long-term boyfriend before she met Dave's dad and how for a year and a half, she was an absolute wreck of a person. During that time, she said she did a lot of things she is not proud of and were out of character for her. She told me she dreamed about a certain life she was going to have, and that dream was scattered, and for a year and a half, she would have done anything to get that dream back. So, she cannot judge Leslie, but thinks Leslie needs therapy. We shot the shit for a bit and she then left. For the next couple of weeks, I kept getting calls and texts about what is going on from various people involved. I decided to just, in a rather factual way, lay everything out. I drafted a mass text message and laid out exactly why the wedding was not happening at my home. I went through everything I had shared with Dave's mom. I also sent an email. I let it be known that if anyone showed up to my house on the original wedding date, I would call the police. After I sent the message and email, a number of mutual acquaintances and friends apologized to me for how they have contributed to the situation. Also, shit apparently hit the fan on the wedding. Dave had lied about our conversation to Kim. He apparently told her he begged and pleaded with me to let them have the wedding on my property. Dave reached out to me to apologize and see if I would be willing to talk. I told him I thought it was best that we do not talk for a while. A lot of people are mad at Leslie and her family is blaming her for the wedding situation. No one showed up to the house on the original day of the wedding. As far as I know, the wedding date is in limbo. Stories number 6. My neighbor tries to use my private pool. This was not by me. My brother had this experience. I know I have bad grammar and no proper punctuation, but my brother will be writing from now on. So this happened a few weeks ago, but I'm still shaking my head at the entitlement. For some context, I live in a suburban neighborhood where all the houses are close but not too close. My wife and I saved for years to get a custom in-ground pool built in our backyard. It was expensive: permits, excavation, landscaping, fencing, the whole deal cost nearly $80,000. This isn't some community pool, it's on my private property, behind a locked gate, and clearly marked as private. Enter my neighbor, Linda, fake name, but if you've ever met a Linda, you know the type. She lives 2 houses down and has always been a bit nosy. Ever since construction began, she would comment on it constantly. Wow, must be nice to waste all that money. I hope you're going to let the neighborhood kids use it. It's just water, why keep it all to yourself? I always smiled politely but made it clear the pool was for family and close friends only. Fast forward to a Saturday afternoon. I'm inside watching TV when I hear splashing and laughing coming from the backyard. I'm thinking maybe my wife's niece and nephew stopped by, but when I go out, nope, it's Linda. In my pool. With her 2 kids. No text, no knock on the door. Just helped herself to the pool like it's the YMCA. I walk outside like, what the hell is going on? She has the audacity to say, oh, I figured you wouldn't mind. It's so hot today, and the kids were dying to swim. I told her to get out immediately. She actually argued with me, saying I was being selfish and that it's just a pool and I should be a good neighbor. I told her I'd call the cops if she didn't leave. She rolled her eyes and said, you wouldn't dare. Spoiler, I dared. I called the non-emergency line, explained the situation, and an officer came by. The officer was super professional and clearly annoyed on my behalf. He escorted them off the property and told her this was trespassing and if it happened again, I could press charges. Linda stormed off, swearing I'd just made enemies with the whole block. Spoiler, I didn't. Since then, several neighbors have actually come up to me saying she's pulled entitled crap like this before. Guess I wasn't the first, just the first to call her bluff. The kicker. She tried again 2 weeks later. This time, the gate was locked and I had a camera up. She and her kids just stood outside the gate rattling it, trying to see if it was open. I showed the footage to the police, filed a formal complaint, and she's been avoiding me ever since. TLDR, neighbor thought my private pool was a public amenity, helped herself to it, and got booted by the cops when she wouldn't leave. Update 1. Okay, so I thought things were done after the whole police thing, but nope, Linda's back at it with some next level entitlement. A few days ago, I noticed something weird when I was heading to my backyard. The gate to my pool was locked, as usual, but there was a small hole in the fence. Like, a perfectly drilled hole about the size of a dime. I took a closer look and realized, someone had drilled into my private fence to try and make a way into the yard. I didn't need to guess who it was. No other neighbors would do something this insane. I immediately called the cops, showed them the damage, and had them come by to check it out. Turns out, the drill marks matched a standard drill you can get at any hardware store, and we found some weird metal shavings nearby. The officer said this was definitely criminal trespassing and vandalism. Linda is absolutely not getting away with this one. The cops are investigating, and they might even press charges for property damage and trespassing. Also, to top it off, she had the gall to come by while the cops were there, trying to play the "I didn't do anything wrong" card. She was practically begging for mercy, claiming she just wanted to cool off in the pool. I had to hold back my laughter. I think this time, she'll finally realize there are consequences. I'm getting a stronger fence and better cameras, so if she tries again, I'll have all the proof I need. TLDR, neighbor drilled a hole into my private fence to try and get into my pool, cops are investigating, and things are about to get a lot more serious. Update 2. Okay, so this is a quick one, but I had to post it while it's fresh. About 3 minutes ago, I noticed smoke outside near my pool area. I ran out and saw my bushes on fire. Literal flames. Thankfully, I have a hose hooked up near the pool, so I immediately grabbed it and managed to put the fire out before it spread. As I was dealing with it, I saw a couple of kids running off and recognized them. Yep, Linda's kids. I called after them to make sure they were okay, and that's when one of them actually told me that their mom Linda asked them to set my bushes on fire. I was stunned. These are little kids, maybe 9 or 10, and they just straight up admitted it without even realizing how serious that is. I didn't yell at them or anything, I can't get mad at the kids. They're just doing what their mom told them to do. Linda, on the other hand, is turning into an actual cartoon villain at this point. I don't even know what to do yet. Do I call the police again? Do I confront her? Honestly, I'm tired. But I had to write this down before it felt like a fever dream. TLDR, my bushes caught fire. I put it out with my pool hose. Turns out Linda's kids did it, because she told them to. I can't be mad at the kids. Linda's the real villain here. Stories number 7. Aita for letting my daughter buy her own bras and not checking. I, 32M, have shared custody of my 13-year daughter. Earlier this week we went to the mall since she's been asking me to go and I was happy with how she's been doing in school. Midway through after we hit a few stores she asked me to go into Victoria's Secret. I asked what she wanted, thinking something like perfume, and she said she wanted bras that fit better, not my area of expertise, so I asked one of the ladies in there if they could assist her, gave my daughter card to buy what she wanted and stood to the side outside of the store. She got what she wanted and we continued with our day. Yesterday after I took my daughter to her mom's, I get a call from my daughter's mom who's furious with me for letting my daughter buy sexy underwear. I'm like, what? What did she buy? And she tells me she has lacy bras. I ask, see-through? But she said no, but that it doesn't matter because lace in general is too much for a 13-year-old and that I was crazy for not checking her bags. I said I didn't think I needed to help a teenage girl shop for underwear or bras or whatever, but she didn't want to hear it. I told her I have the receipt and just send them back with her, my daughter, next time I get her, and I'll see if I can return them. But I'm wondering if this was an oversight on my part. Are dads supposed to be supervising bra choices? Stories number 8. My 20F boyfriend, 21M, said that my parents aren't really my parents, because I'm adopted, and believing that they are is a coping mechanism. How can I talk to him about this? I was adopted from South America when I was a baby. My mother was infertile, and my parents chose to adopt. My sister and brother were adopted within the country, their biological siblings, from addicts. My parents probably would have preferred to adopt me from our country as well, but my mother had a weird dream and decided to adopt a baby from somewhere else, which ended up being me. And it's kind of hard, because even though I'm grateful they gave me a better life, my other siblings, they're actually related and from the same country as my parents, and I'm not. And I can't pretend I am either, because we look very different, and my siblings actually look kind of like my parents. I have no connection from where I'm from. I've never been there, I don't know the language, and I don't really know anything about the country or the culture or anything at all. There isn't really any information about my family, even about what part of the country I'm from, and my siblings, they at least know who their parents are and their circumstances. I don't know if I'm jealous of that, because they came from a bad situation, but at least they know about it. My boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years. He's known that I'm adopted for nearly the whole time of that, because it's kind of obvious. I don't think he'd ever said much about it, it didn't really matter. But recently we were talking about our future children. Might sound weird, but it's just something we do. I definitely don't want to be pregnant at the moment, it's about the future. Anyway, he was saying he wouldn't want them to seem too exotic. I thought it was funny and said that Danish isn't exactly exotic. He said that I wasn't really Danish, and I asked him what he meant, because to me, I am. I was raised in the country, by parents from there, and I definitely see myself as that more than where I was born, which I don't remember at all. He said just because I've been raised here, it doesn't mean that I am, and that anyone can tell that looking at me. The worst thing was that he said my parents aren't really my parents, but they are. I have absolutely no memory of my biological parents, except a few very faint things I could be making up, and they clearly didn't care for me or love me or anything when my parents do. It just really upset me. I didn't realize he thought of me in that way, and my parents as well. I love my parents a lot, and I would never say they are not my parents. I don't think genetics are the only thing that matters. And maybe he just doesn't understand because he hasn't had the same experience as I have had, but it doesn't seem fair. And he won't let me talk to him about it. He says I'm overreacting and the way I see my adoptive parents is just a coping mechanism. But that doesn't even make any sense and I don't really know how to get him to actually listen to me. Stories number 9. Aita for telling my fiancé I won't help pay the mortgage. For some background, I, 29F and my fiancé 30M have been together for 10 years. We had a baby back in 2020 and I lost my job around the same time. Our lease to our apartment was up and my grandma offered for us to move in with her, so we did. We basically had our own little apartment rent-free. I had thrown the idea of going to school out there and everyone agreed it was a good idea. My fiancé paid for it and my grandma watched my baby while I went to class. I graduate this semester. I did part-time for a couple semesters. My fiancé has been making $90K a year for the past couple years and $70K when we first moved in. He's saved a good amount of money. We agreed to wait to get married until I finished school and we could buy a house together. We've been looking at houses more seriously for a past couple months and found one we both love. We started talking to a mortgage broker and that's when he dropped the bomb on it being him and only him on the mortgage and the deed. He said I wouldn't have anything to do with it. I didn't say anything in the meeting, but afterwards I told him I thought we were buying the house together and I'd pay half the mortgage. He said I would be paying half the mortgage but my name just wouldn't be on it. So I told him that would mean I'd have no right to the house and he said he knew. He said since he saved the 40% down that it's only fair that he has the rights to the house in case we end things. I told him if that's what he wants to do then I'm not paying for the mortgage. I said this isn't a partnership and if he just wants his own place fine, but I'm not paying for it. He called me a BTCH saying that he paid for everything for the past few years including my schooling. I told him I stayed home and watched our child so we didn't have to pay for daycare and that ended up saving us money since I would have been only able to work part-time. He said he didn't care and I need to pay for half since I already agreed to it. So Reddit Aita for refusing to pay the mortgage. ETA, originally we were supposed to move in with my grandma for a few months while we saved some money for renting a new place. I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to go to school so I'd make more money and we could potentially buy a place. My grandma said we should stay with her until I finish school so we can save up for a life together. My fiancé and I had agreed that we would be buying a house together. He paid for the schooling because we were getting married and my student loans would have been our problem, not just mine. He encouraged me to finish my education so we could give our child a better quality of life. Edit 2. For those of you saying him paying for my schooling would be more expensive than rent, my schooling in total costed $17,000. Across 5 years. That's $3,400 a year on average. Comments. Commenter 1. Are you still living in your grandma's place rent-free? If so, I'd stay there and start saving for your own down payment. Commenter 2. Staying at grandma's could be a great way to get your finances in order without the pressure of this situation. Saving for your own place and building your financial independence could give you more freedom in the future. Commenter 3. If Op goes this route she also needs to file for child support. That can be used towards a home for their child. Even though is not the way Op had been expecting. Commenter 4. And grandma should be charging him rent for as far back as legally possible. Commenter 5. Yeah, WTF. Rich of him to live rent-free at someone else's grandma's place and then turn around and go, well, this saved me a crap ton of money to invest in my own home without my partner and mother of my kids. What an asshole. Why isn't he single and child-free if he doesn't want to share anything? This is most likely not what Granny had in mind when she decided to help out. Update. So first thank you to everyone who commented, a lot of you had great insight and were very supportive. To those who weren't I got to see a perspective of how my fiancé might be feeling, so thank you for that too. Although some of you were extremely misogynistic. To answer some questions, my grandma offered to give us a place to stay for a few months while I looked for a job and so we could save some money. This was the beginning of the lockdown and no one was sure what the job market would look like. I had brought up finishing my degree and my grandma offered to watch my baby while I was in class. My fiancé said he'd pay for it since we didn't have to pay for rent or daycare. He called it an investment in our future. I got a Pell Grant and a scholarship, so he ended up only having to pay, on average, $3,400 a year for the schooling. If I wasn't going to school, my grandma didn't want us staying there long term. This was purely her trying to give us a leg up and help us in our future. She wouldn't have done so if she knew what my fiancé was going to do. She said this. For the update, I told my fiancé we needed to talk about this arrangement and I asked why he changed his mind all of a sudden. He said he worked hard for his money and didn't want to lose everything if we got divorced. I said that was fair, but he's now putting me in a position to lose everything if I have zero rights to the property. He said I didn't save up the money so the house should be his and his alone until and unless I put down 40% also. I asked if he'd consider a prenup that would give him the 40% he put down and we'd split 50-50 the rest of the equity. I said this would protect the lump sum he put down while also giving me equity I'd be paying for. He said he'd have to think about it but he doesn't like the idea of having to sell if we split. I said then he can get his own place that he can afford on his own if he doesn't want me on the title that badly. This one he could barely afford with just his income, not sure if he'd even be approved for the mortgage on his own tbh. I also mentioned that I wanted to do couples therapy before we get married. He said no. That we didn't need therapy and I just needed to listen to him. That was the end of the conversation. I don't know who this person is. This is not the man I had a child with. The man I had a child with massaged me every night while I was pregnant, he listened attentively to every random thing I wanted to talk about, he treated me with the utmost respect, he was the only person I wanted with me while I gave birth. He used to say he could never hurt me or screw me over because it'd hurt our child. I love him so much. I don't know what happened. Comments. Commenter 1. I would not marry this man or buy a house with him. Time to set up some co-parenting guidelines and go your separate ways. He showed you who he is. Believe him. Commenter 2. Yup, see a lawyer about custody, child support and get a third-party co-parenting app, because anyone that say op needs to just listen to him won't be the easiest person to co-parent with. Somewhere along the way, maybe because he was the main breadwinner, he just started believing that his voice was the only one that matters and you can't have a good relationship with that mentality. Commenter 3. It's easy to be the breadwinner when you don't have to pay rent or daycare. I wonder if they helped OP's grandma out with utilities and the food bill for the last 4 years. Let him have his house, and let the relationship end. He's not talking like a partner. He's talking like an adversary. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy is trying to end the relationship with this stunt. OP, I'm sorry you are hurting right now. You gave a completely valid compromise on a prenup. Wouldn't even accept relationship counseling. Not okay. He wants access to your money, your support system while giving you no security. You deserve better. Stay with your gran and start saving for yourself. If the relationship ends, file for child support. Your child deserves to be provided for. Commenter 4. OP, you need to run. This can get very dangerous very fast. This man is desperately trying to overpower and control every aspect of your life. It starts with it being his house, then it's his money, his child, and you're nothing. I don't want to scare you, but it feels as though he baby-trapped you. Meaning even if you decide to leave him, you'll be tied by the child you share. He doesn't want to do therapy because he is aware of his behavior. He knows what he's doing. The therapist will know his true intentions and expose them. He's trying to gaslight you into thinking he's not being abusive. Please get separate accounts and stay at your grandmother's place until you can get a place away from him. Reply, we do have separate accounts thankfully. He'll have zero access to my money once I start my job in a couple weeks. Update. Thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. You've shown me I'm not alone in this and that other people have gone through the same. I also feel vindicated in my decision to not pay half the mortgage if I'm not on the deed, thank you. Anyways, tonight he and I got to talking about the arrangement again. He said he didn't want to do the prenup I mentioned in my last update. So I told him my final offer was couples therapy and getting married before we buy a house. I told him we should get a rental temporarily until we figure everything out and come to an agreement. He outright refused, again. He said he didn't want to waste money renting. He then said I'm not entitled to any of his money and he won't buy a house after we marry because I'll just win it in a divorce. I said fine, we won't get married. He asked if I was breaking up with him and I said I didn't know, but I needed space. He lost it. Called me a BTCH and a gold digger and told me I owe him $30,000. I don't know where he got this number from. He said I'm used up and no one will ever want me again. He went on ranting, yelling at me, for about 3 minutes until my grandma came over to us and told him to leave. He's staying the night at a hotel and has called me repeatedly. He's left a few angry voicemails. I feel so numb. My baby is confused and keeps asking why I'm upset and where their dad went. I hate this so much. To everyone who mentioned he might have gotten in with the mesosphere red pill content, you were right. I looked at who he subscribed to on YouTube, sure enough I saw Joe Rogan, Fresh and Fit Podcast, Just Pearly Things, and Aiden Ross. Safe to say he's fallen down the mesosphere rabbit hole. I know the man I fell in love with is gone and there's nothing I can do about it. There were definitely signs I didn't notice. He always said he was saving his money, and he was buying a house. He also said, on more than one occasion, he was the man of the house. He got really big on being a provider and protector. I didn't put it all together until now. His behavior change has been pretty recently, like the last 8 to 9 months. That's it. My life is a shit show. Writing it out has been somewhat therapeutic. Thank you all again for your support. Comments. Commenter 1. Keep the voicemails and messages he sends. You may need them. Get ready to go to court to custody and child support. Do not be alone with this man. Edit. Grandma is awesome. If he comes back and is yelling and acting up, call the cops. Commenter 2. And props to your grandma for sticking up for you. She is amazing. Commenter 3. Yeah, if Fiance is asking for money, remind him that grandma would want back rent. Commenter 4. Your life is not a shit show. Imagine if you moved into that house, paid for a few years and actually married him. That would be a colossal shit show. I'm so sorry you are going through this, but you found out before taking these next big steps. You have your degree, family support and your kid. You will be fine. Please talk to a good lawyer. Custody, child support and save and document everything. Reply, thank you, you're right. It could have been a whole hell of a lot worse. LOL. Stories number 10. Aita for not talking to my brother after he tried to invite himself on my girls' trip. So this happened on Tuesday night, April 29th. I was having dinner with my mom and casually told her I'm going on a girls' trip next week. She was just being a mom and told me to be careful. My older brother, 29M, didn't really say anything during dinner, so I just finished eating and went to my room. About an hour later, my mom called me to the living room. She was talking to my brother. I didn't think much of it until he suddenly said, I'll come with you on the way to the girls' trip. I was confused and told him, no need, I'm taking my car. I'll be fine. But he kept telling my mom it's okay, he'll just drop me off and then go stay at his friend's place for the week. I didn't say anything after that, but honestly, the whole vibe of the trip already felt off. I didn't want to start a fight, so I just stayed quiet. I didn't talk to him after that night and still haven't. About myself, I'm 23 and working as a data analyst in a reputed company. My brother is 29, doesn't have a job, and honestly has a habit of trying to use my plans as a way to get out or do something fun. It always feels like he's inserting himself just because he's bored, not because he actually cares. Now I'm being told I should talk to him or explain why I didn't want him to tag along. But I didn't even argue, I just left it. So. Aita for not talking to him after all this and not forcing a conversation. Top comments. Commenter 1, no thanks. I'm taking my car, or riding with X. This is a girls only thing. Commenter 2, not really an AH, but you do need to tell him no and not let him drag you into an argument. You don't owe him an explanation. It is a girls' trip with your friends. He is neither a girl nor a friend. That's it. Commenter 3, yeah, you need to say something. You're an adult and you need to advocate for yourself. Commenter 4, NTA. You don't owe him an explanation. You are a grown adult capable of making your own decisions. It's 2025, women don't need chaperones anymore. Update. Hi again everyone. Thank you so much for all the support. I wanted to share an update and clarify a few things. After everything happened, my mom didn't say much, but deep down, even she didn't want my brother tagging along on my girls' trip. My dad actually supported me and even gave me some money to enjoy my time off. My parents didn't encourage my brother's behavior. In fact, they told him clearly that just because he's bored doesn't mean he can join my plans. So I really appreciate them for having my back quietly. To be honest, my brother isn't a bad guy. He's not a golden child or anything. Our parents treat both of us equally. I love him deeply. He's the same person who helped me with homework when I was a kid, who taught me how to bake cookies, and who has always been there in little ways. And yes, he knows it's really hard for me to say no to him. Right now, he's going through a rough patch in life, and maybe he just needed a break. But I also needed this trip for myself. It's something I planned with my girls to recharge, not to take care of someone else. Still, after this trip, I've decided to take another week off and plan something just for my family, because I want him to have a break too, in a space that feels right. I may not be the perfect sister, and I'm still learning how to set boundaries with love. But I'll never abandon him. That said, I've realized that sometimes, family isn't everything, respect is. And when your family treats you with respect, choosing them isn't a sacrifice, it's an act of love. Thank you all again. Your words helped more than you know. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, which of your friends does he want to be with? Reply, none, he treats them like sisters. He's having a rough time. He wants to go out but my parents aren't okay to send him out alone. So he tried using me as a pawn. Commenter 2, this may be rude and I apologize beforehand, but does he have any mental or developmental problems that make it that he can't go out or socialize on his own? Especially when he mentioned staying with a friend of his. Maybe I misread though. Reply, no, he isn't mentally ill, he's a straight A student. But when he completed his master's and started looking for a job, he did stress a lot about his work life. He became a bit more aggressive, and my parents thought if he go out without anyone to help him cool down he might get into any disturbance act and he might suffer a bit more, thinking he's really the problem. And his friend does live in the place where we were going for the trip, so he thought it's okay to tag along with me. I was the problem for not talking to him, but I thought it might hurt him even more if I say no to him. But he understood now and said maybe he just overreacted. Commenter 3, he's 29, why treat him like an unstable 5-year-old? Reply, my parents are scared that if he gets into any unnecessary disturbance, and it might be the biggest drawback for his future. And it isn't unstable but more likely to give some time for himself without making him feel like he's the problem. Has OOP's brother received therapy? Reply, he did go for therapy and they said it was just a phase and he needs some time for himself. Commenter 4, you may not have all these answers, but how long ago was that phase? And I don't think time for himself would translate in you can't go out unless your sister babysits you. This all seems rather harmful. Reply, he took care of me as a teenager, he does have breakdowns because of me, and I think it's my time to take care of him when he's hitting the bottom. Stories number 11. I realized that I had pretty privilege when I lost it, and I became a better person. Whether we want to admit it or not, pretty privilege is a thing. And it's something that I now realize I had for the majority of my life. People were usually very nice to me, I got offered perks like drinks at bars and extra attention when I went out. And I was stared at a lot. This part bothered me, because I didn't really know why. Even though I was pretty, I had low self-esteem and didn't realize it until later. If someone looked at me too long or smiled, I would quickly look away and feel uncomfortable. Then, a couple of years ago, I had a health issue, which was fixed by taking a certain medication. Now, this medication had one huge side effect, it made you gain weight. No matter how little I ate or how much I exercised, my metabolism slowed, and I started getting bigger. The fatter I got, the less attention was paid to me. I didn't notice it at first, but I began to have to ask for customer service at places instead of being offered, and I started to feel invisible, because no one looked at me. No one. People would walk right by and not even acknowledge my existence. It was strange at first, then incredibly humbling. I thought, well, this is the new normal. My personality started to change a little. I began being thankful for any small interaction someone had with me, and responded to any small act of kindness with gratefulness. I noticed other not conventionally pretty people, and other overweight people, and made an effort to talk to them and treat them like they mattered. I became a better person. Not that I wasn't a good person before, but I was now more aware and empathetic to those around me. Then, I had some good luck. My doctor found a different medication for my condition, one that didn't mess with my metabolism. I switched medications, and the weight just melted off. I didn't have to change my diet or exercise, which were healthy to start with, I just started to lose the weight. After about a year and a half, I was approaching my normal healthy weight, and boy, did I notice when I got my pretty privilege back. The first time I noticed it was when I was in a store looking for something, and a handsome male worker came up to me and asked if I needed help. He looked me in the eyes. I felt like I mattered again. Then I instantly felt sad and horrified, because of the cosmic unfairness of life, that how we look really does determine how people treat us, even though it shouldn't. Now, I notice every unfair advantage that I get because of my looks, and feel humbled and grateful at the same time. I still seek out others that would have been invisible to me before, and try my best to greet them and talk to them like the important human beings that they are. I also feel guilty because a simple change in medication gave me this privilege back again, and that's something that isn't available to most people. And also, when someone looks at me and smiles, no matter who they are, I give them a huge smile back. Stories number 12. My 25F, fiance's 28M, brother, 25M, drunk dialed me saying he's in love with me. I've known both of them since college. I actually met the brother, Lucas, first. He was in the audience while I was performing a spoken word piece. Our friends knew each other, we met, etc., etc. Lucas eventually introduced me to his older brother, Miles, and I was instantly smitten, as they say. Miles and I started dating very quickly after we met. He's always been very assertive and confident, while Lucas is quiet and introverted. Miles and I are now engaged. We're aiming the wedding for next year, hopefully in the summer unless something goes horribly wrong. Lucas is going to be best man. We are very happy together. Last night, Lucas called me at around 1 o'clock in the morning. Right away I knew something was wrong because he never calls, especially not so late. He's more of a texter. I didn't actually answer the call because I was in the bathroom. I figured I'd call him after I was done. He ended up leaving a message saying this word for word, Jess. Jess, my friend, how are you? I missed you at the bar last week. We were supposed to go to the karaoke place, remember? You're a terrible singer by the way. Smart and clever, but a terrible singer. Anyway. I'm really drunk right now and I'll probably regret saying this in the morning if I can remember it, but I love you, Jess. Weird, right? You're funny and beautiful and I love the fuck out of you and I'm so sorry. You and Miles are a good couple. I'm happy my brother found such an amazing person to spend his life with. I would say I wish I met you first, but I did, didn't I? Anyway, sorry. Please don't tell Miles. I just wanted to say it out loud to you once. That's all. Bye. I was in shock, and then I cried, and then I sat down and thought of everything that happened since I performed my spoken word all those years ago. I honestly had no idea. Lucas has dated and been in a few relationships since I've known him. He was only ever amazing to those girls. Kind, doting, respectful, loyal, the list goes on. He didn't say how long he's felt this way. Maybe it's new. I don't know. Either way I don't know what to do. Should I talk to him about it? Should I tell Miles? Should I take this to the grave and pretend I don't know? I'd want to know if my sister had called my fiancé and admitted to being in love with him. But I don't want to strain my fiancé's relationship with his brother. On top of that, Lucas was drunk, he likely doesn't even remember he left the message. TLDR, I met the brother first. Now that my fiancé and I are officially engaged to be married, my future BL called me to tell me he's in love with me. He did it without agenda it seems, and he asked me not to tell my fiancé. I don't know what to do. Relevant comments. OP when asked why she cried. I cried because that's my natural reaction to bad things. I'm a crier LOL. Also because I felt bad for him. He's a good person. For him to be pushed to the point that he had to tell me, he must have been in a bad place. And I've never had romantic feelings for him. Once I befriend someone, that's it. My feelings don't change. I'm starting to think I should talk to both of them. Miles first and maybe Lucas second depending on Miles' stance reaction. Update, Miles came home a couple of hours ago. I played him the message expecting some level of shock or anger, but he just went, oh, shit. Is he okay? To my relief, Miles is honestly just concerned. He's not angry at all. In fact, he said he had an inkling that Lucas was, at the very least, attracted to me, but he had no idea it was love. He asked me how I feel about the situation, and I told him my only concern is our relationship. As much as I care about Lucas as a friend, I'm not entirely sure what he wants from me if anything at all. I'm marrying his brother in less than a year. On the one hand, I feel bad for him because unrequited love is a shitty thing and I've been there, but on the other, I'm annoyed. I don't really know why I'm annoyed, just that I am. In any case, Miles thinks I should have a sit-down with Lucas. I expected him to want to talk to his brother, but he said we should maintain the illusion that he doesn't know if only to spare Lucas the guilt and or embarrassment. He knows his brother better than anyone, so I'll follow his lead on this. The thing is, I'm not even sure Lucas remembers leaving the message, hopefully he does. I would hate to break the news. I guess I'll post another update after meeting with Lucas. I still have no idea what to say. Hey. You drunk dialed me saying you love me. What's up with that? No, probably not a good approach. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Read your update. If it were me, I would want my fiancé to handle it. The relationship between the brothers is the most important thing, and if his brother reports the conversation between you and him going differently, it will make things worse. Really, this isn't about you at all. Your fiancé pegged it. Maybe the brother is very lonely, jealous of the relationship, more than of you in particular, or having some unrelated issue that is manifesting weird. Either way, those issues are best resolved with his brother, not you. He involved his brother by nature when he told you. He might as well have said, don't call an ambulance but I am having a heart attack. Again, I personally would feel more comfortable with it being just the brothers. Reply, I agree. I went in fully expecting Miles to want to handle this on his own, but he made his stance very clear, Lucas isn't just my brother to you. He's one of your best friends. I trust you, and I also trust him. He told you because he's ready to get over you. Talk to him, see where his head's at. Let him know how you feel even if he doesn't want to hear it. We've been texting on off all morning. To be honest, I'm even more ready to marry him than I was before. He's handling this so well. Update. Big thanks to everyone who left a comment in the original post. Your input was very helpful. I have since talked to Lucas. Again, Miles' idea. His logic was simple. Lucas told me the truth because he was ready to let go and get over me, or rather, whatever idea of me he had in his head. Miles thinks keeping Lucas as best man at our wedding will be punishment enough. As brutal as that sounds, I can't help but agree. Lucas isn't a child and shouldn't be treated like one. I think he knows we're disappointed in him. Worried and sympathetic, but disappointed just the same. If he were truly looking to split the engagement, I feel like he would have taken a more sophisticated approach than drunk dialing me. In any case, we had a chat at mine and Miles' house. Miles was home, in his study working. Lucas and I had lunch in the kitchen. To my relief, he did not feign ignorance. We talked for maybe 20 or 30 minutes. He told me he originally wanted to ask me out in university but waited too long, and then stepped aside when he saw that I was interested in his brother instead. He said he left the voice message without agenda, and I believe him. The way he was talking, his words came off more cathartic and apologetic than hopeful. They didn't come off hopeful at all, actually. He made sure to say our friendship was still genuine and whatever we've gone through since we met, was untainted. The moments of, what if, were brief, he said, but heavy. By the end of our talk, he was able to admit that maybe his feelings stem from desire for a relationship similar to mine and Miles, and not so much desire for me. I told him he's still very welcome to the wedding if he feels he's ready for something like that, and he told me he'll be there for sure. We left it at that. All in all, I'm confident everything will be okay. It might take a while before we're normal around each other, but we had a chance to talk and clear the air, and right now that's good enough for me. TLDR, Lucas and I chatted. We're good. Miles is good. Everything's good. Stories number 13. My 28M, GF, 30F, shares the toxic feminist views. Should I let her go? Hi, before I explain what I mean by toxic feminist, let me give some context on the situation. I've been dating this girl for 6 months now. Super sweet, I think we were a good match in terms of coexisting and living together. She stays over a few days at my place per week. She brings me peace, which is something I value a lot in a relationship. I always knew she was pro-girly. Meaning she's all for girl empowerment, celebrating women and so on. That's totally fine and I encourage her doing that. She would tip more for women, watch more girl shows, follow more girls online, etc. Which seems pretty normal and fair to me. However, something came up this week. We were lying in bed and she was browsing Instagram reels and ended up on a video of an influencer bashing the current trend of the mesosphere, red pill way of thinking, etc., that it's all phony and that it's brainwashing a generation of men to think like that. Which I agree with, it's garbage from social media. When I heard the influencer rant about it, I told her, it's crazy how much traction the whole mesosphere thing's been getting, comparatively to the propaganda women receive on social media, which prompted her to ask what I meant. Which brings me to the toxic feminist label, which I clarified by saying there's always been a movement, for a while now, of women preaching how men are trash, bears are safer than men are useless, so on and so forth. To which she responded, well, it's true though. I was taken aback and told her I was very disappointed to hear her share the same vision as these social media influencers. We argued a little bit, her main argument being that, you don't know the experiences women have with men and how it can warp their perception of the opposite gender. Seems crazy to me to put a whole gender in the same basket just because of a few bad apples. There's trash people out there, not just men. I finally asked her, you really think it's okay to say things like that and mean it? To which she said yes, that I'm an exception and that in her friend group, they joke about how their boyfriends are the exception to the rule. I told her to pack her things and that I'd bring her back home. To me it shows a lack of critical thinking and a lack of accountability when it comes to who you tolerate in your life. I know some women have had no say in their interaction with terrible men, the same way some men have had terrible experiences with other women, but that all in all it shouldn't have to paint a whole gender a certain way. The men close to me in my life are all people I look up to, people I see myself in. We haven't spoken since, and honestly, I'm still shook. I'm very adamant on not associating with people that make up their minds like that, incapable of accepting the nuance. I'm thinking of letting her go, which saddens me, because otherwise I could have seen myself live the rest of my life with her. Not sure if I should make the move or let her reflect on it all to see if change can be made. It's been 3 days so far of no interaction. Edit, I would like to add that before all of this, I've never gotten the vibe that she was a man-hater, or that she disliked men in general. Just that she was a girl's girl. Stories number 14. Aita for not including my stepbrother in my family trip after he deliberately ruined a previous vacation. Okay, so I'm in this whole family drama situation and genuinely wondering if I'm being the AH here. I, 23F, planned this beach trip with my mom, dad, and sister, 21F. That's basically reviving our old family tradition from before my parents split 8 years ago. We're finally at a point where everyone gets along again, so yay healing or whatever. My dad remarried 2 years ago, so now I have a stepbrother, Jake, 19M. We're not like enemies but definitely not beasties either. Last summer I planned this amusement park weekend and Jake tagged along. It was a disaster. This guy complained about literally everything, started drama between my parents on purpose, and then disappeared for 3 hours without telling anyone. We were all panicking, searching everywhere, and he was just chilling at the arcade claiming he forgot to check his phone. Trip equals ruined. Fast forward to now, I've been carefully saving up for this beach trip, with mind that we have fun and don't have same issues like last summer. Since this trip is specifically about reconnecting with my bio family, I didn't include Jake in the plans and without any personal issues. I'd rather not have him with us, than deal with that stuff again. He is a teenager anyway, so few days alone at home will benefit him too for sure. Well, stepmom found out and is now acting like I committed a war crime. My dad's giving me an ultimatum that either Jake comes or he's not coming either. Getting bombarded with spicy texts about how I'm deliberately making Jake feel excluded and not accepting him as family. I tried explaining about the previous trip nightmare, but apparently I'm just holding a grudge and real family forgives. Aita for just wanting one drama-free vacation after what happened last time. Or should I just suck it up and accept that Jake is now automatically included in everything forever? Stories number 15. My boyfriend and I went Instagram official. Now I'm being accused of cheating on a man I've been rejecting for years. Hi Reddit, this is a long one with please bear with me. Also my mind's all over the place, so please excuse any grammar errors. Lastly, my boyfriend's sister a huge fan of the podcast and told me that I should ask you all for advice. I 21F and my boyfriend 23M just became Instagram official, although we have been seeing each other for about 8 months now. He's truly is my soulmate and have truly never been happier. We are in the process of moving in together. Now for the other guy. We were in the same friend group throughout school. I lived in a small town and went to a small school. I had a real set group of friends since elementary school. The other guy, let's call him David, fake name, joined our group in high school. He ended up getting a job at the same restaurant I worked at and we became even better friends. That was until about my second year into high school when I went to homecoming with one of our mutual friends, let's call him John. After John and I went to homecoming together, David started to completely cut John and I out. Convinced the group to stop hanging out with us at lunch or outside of school, and completely gave me the cold shoulder at work. That was until me and John decided we would be better off as friends. Then everything went back to normal. After that, prom came around and David asked if I would go with him. I politely declined. He kept insisting and I kept saying no, and that my best friend Tracy and I were going without dates because she recently got out of a relationship and wanted to go with just the girls. Later at prom found out that he texted Tracy beforehand asking what color dress I was wearing and showed up in the same color tux. All night made comments about how we looked like a couple and this would have been funner as a date. After that I avoided him as much as possible. A couple months later he started dating this girl a town over. And I got into a couple-year-long toxic relationships, that I won't get into but is important. David and I lost touch. Later me and my ex broke up and coincidentally David and his girlfriend broke up too. And he reached out. Me being a good friend listened to his sob story about breaking up with his ex and how toxic she was to him. Then started bringing up that he might be ready to date again and that he was looking for someone like me. I mentioned that I wasn't ready to date anytime soon and said I hope he finds someone else and whatever he was looking for. After that I graduated early and moved away for school. Stopped reaching out to the group. David texted me daily, I maybe replied monthly. He would ask to come see me, ask me to fly out and see him, I always declined. And finally ghosted him altogether. Rude I know, but what to do. Now to the present. After I posted pictures of me and my boyfriend, all my friends from high school started flooding my DMs asking me how I could be such a heartless bitch and how I could cheat on David. I told them that we never dated and I had been rejecting him since high school. He apparently told our friends that I was the reason him and his ex broke up cause us were too in love with each other, and told our friends that we actually went to prom together. And told them that we were doing long distance. Apparently he even told his mom that he wanted to marry me and even asked her for her ring. Got an angry DM from her about it too. All this time I've made it very clear I don't like him. And now everyone says I lead him on. My boyfriend and his sister think that everyone is insane to think I lead him on and thinking I'm awful. I feel like I'm going crazy. Cause how am I leading on a man to the point he thinks we are dating even when we haven't talked in 5 months and telling our mutual friends he wants to marry me when I've been rejecting him for years. Stories number 16. Aita for telling my best friend it's unfair that my girlfriend isn't invited on her birthday holiday. My 27M, best friend, 25F, invited me on a holiday for her birthday next year. The group includes my BFF, her girlfriend and several other close friends, 2 of whom are in a relationship and going as a couple. My girlfriend, 24F, was not invited. BFF and GF have known each other for years, but BFF has made it clear she doesn't like her and claims they have nothing in common. My GF, on the other hand, thinks they're on good terms. As time has gone on, BFF's made passive comments about GF, and her girlfriend has openly expressed dislike for her. Here's where it gets messy. GF's close friend was invited. Then another couple were added to the trip. So, it feels like it's turning into a couple's heavy trip, except my partner isn't welcome. I told BFF this makes me uncomfortable, especially because I've stood by her through a lot. I supported her emotionally during some very confusing times. I've continued offering her lifts, helped plan around her needs, and stayed present even when her GF has been rude or dismissive toward me. I've bent over backward for this friendship because I genuinely care. I tried to express that excluding my GF feels unfair, and BFF got very upset. She said it's not a couple's holiday, just a trip with people she's close to. She claims I shouldn't feel excluded because she will be there for me, and that she'd go on a holiday with my group even if her GF wasn't invited. She then unloaded a lot, saying I've changed since getting into a relationship, that I put my GF first too much, that I don't prioritize our friendship, and even suggested that I'm letting my GF come between us. She said she loves me and that we've drifted, but blamed it largely on how everything is about her lately. I understand where she's coming from, but from my perspective, it's hard to go on a trip where my girlfriend is pointedly excluded while other partners are gradually being included. I'm not asking for them to be best friends, just civil. My GF has never caused drama or spoken ill of my BFF, so it's hard seeing her treated like a problem when she's been respectful. Now my BFF is telling me that if I don't want to come without my GF, I should just not come. I do want to be there for her birthday, but I also don't want to throw my partner under the bus, or pretend this isn't hurtful. Stories number 17. Aitj for not agreeing to my boyfriend's open relationship rules. 25F, very early on in the relationship with my boyfriend, 25M, he told me that he had to be in an open relationship. I hadn't been in one before, but I said I'd give it a try. And it was clear when we talked about it that either of us could sleep with whoever we wanted. I said okay, we've been dating for 11 months, and over time I really started to love him. I know he has quite a few very casual partners but no other serious relationships. I actually didn't have any other partners, though, because I was so happy just being with him. Then 2 months ago I was drunk and met a guy at a party, and we slept together. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong whatsoever, so when it came up with my boyfriend, I didn't try to hide it, but he was really upset. He said it was disrespectful for me to do that. I was kind of shocked. I'm fine with not sleeping with other people, but the problem is now he's really paranoid and controlling ever since then, accusing me of looking at other guys or flirting with them all the time, constantly checking my phone, wanting me to check in every hour when I'm out, and asking to track my location, etc. It's really bothering me. So basically he wants to have an open relationship only on his side. He says he loves me and that I should be loyal to him, but when I bring up how the rule doesn't apply to him, he gets angry. He says that so many men feel stuck in boring relationships and he's not going to be one of them and I shouldn't try to control him, etc. I get it, but it doesn't feel right. I love him a lot, but I'm seriously thinking about breaking up with him. Commenter 1, fuck that guy wants his cake and eat it. Do yourself a favor and GTFO. Reply, yes, I'm seriously thinking about it. Commenter 2, this man doesn't want an open relationship, he wants a one-way hall pass while you stay monogamous and monitored like a parolee. You're not crazy for wanting equality, he's just mad he can't gaslight you into staying with a jerk. Commenter 3, yeah, he's just too lazy to cheat discreetly. Commenter 4, tell him you don't want to be in a boring relationship either. That's why you agreed to open the relationship. Break up and find someone who is on your level. Update in comments. I've made up my mind and broke up with him. Thanks everyone. Stories number 18. Aita for telling my sister I would have kept the door closed on her too when she looked for me to side with her against mom. Back in March my mom, 50s, and sister, 22, got into a fight and my sister is saying she will never forgive mom and she has tried to turn me, 23, against mom too. To give some context. 6 years ago our parents' marriage ended when mom found out dad had an affair and father a child with someone else. Dad ended up becoming official with the other woman and moved in with her and their child. I severed ties with Dad at the time. He'd never been a very engaged dad, and though he said he wanted to be more engaged now that he had a new baby, that made it worse in my eyes. That he'd only step up after he had a baby 16 years younger than me. Nope. Not happening. My sister didn't go to see him for more than a year too, but then after talking to Mom she decided she wanted to try with Dad. Mom told her she would never stop her from doing that if she wanted a relationship. My sister told me the real draw was having a younger sibling. She tried to convince me to have a relationship with Dad for the same reason, but I told her I didn't want to know the baby, who was over a year old by the time she tried to convince me. That created a weirdness in our relationship because she wanted us all to be a family. But I told her I would never be a part of that family. I told her in my eyes I never had a dad, just a mom. And there is more than a little truth in that. He was never there for us as kids, and I don't want to give him a chance to make it up to me. My mom asked my sister to respect the fact she could never forgive Dad and would never want a relationship with Dad or his family. She told her she would be civil for her sake and would be polite at her birthdays, graduations, weddings, etc., but that was the most she would be willing to deal with him. Which my sister said was okay. Then back in March my sister texted Mom and told her she was dropping off Dad's 6-year-old and 4-year-old to her house, so please answer the door ASAP because Dad's wife was rushed to hospital and she wanted to be there for Dad and they needed a sitter. Mom texted her back no, but my sister carried on to the house anyway and Mom simply didn't answer the door. My sister tried for like 20 minutes before she left with the kids. They ended up going to the hospital with her, but apparently they were asked to leave unless the kids were patients. They were limiting the kids' access to the hospital. My sister ended up confronting Mom a few days later, which is when the fight happened, and she won't talk to Mom now. My sister has told me all about it repeatedly, shown me the text repeatedly, and called Mom names repeatedly to my face. Last week she finally asked me how I could still talk to Mom after that, and she told me I needed to be on her side. I looked my sister straight in the eye and told her that I would have kept the door closed on her too. I told her I never would have agreed to babysit those kids. So I wasn't on her side. My sister told me I'd have been cruel beyond words to not answer the door when I knew someone needed to take care of the kids. That Mom was cruel beyond words. I told her those kids are not mine or Mom's problem and she accepted them, she loves them, she has a relationship with them, but we do not. My sister's still talking to me, but only to give me shit about what I said. She can't wrap her head around the fact I wouldn't support her and would do the same thing Mom did. Stories number 19. When do you need this done? Okay, right away it is. My boss was the kind that wanted people to jump when he said jump. He was also totally clueless on how to do my job. He really wanted the billing to go out as fast as possible every month, because cash flow. This was the kind of boss that often would say, "What do you mean X?" and I would calmly list the definition of X. I don't think he ever knew what to do with that. So, one time at the beginning of the month I'm working on billing, usually takes 3 days, when he comes in my office and says needs this report done. I tell him it's gonna take a few days and ask him what sort of priority, top priority. Okay, you got it. 3 days later, I turn the report in, and he asks me about billing. Well, I had to put it aside to get this report done, but I'm back on it now. You could almost see the steam coming out of his ears. To his credit, he didn't blame me, but you could tell he wanted to. Another time, at the end of the year, he makes a special order from one of our suppliers for 6 times our usual order. A month later when it's time to pay the bill, I told him I haven't seen it. He tells me, he gives me all the bills and that it's my fault for losing it. I call the supplier. Turns out, the supplier never even put the order in their system, they shipped the product, but because it was such an unusual order, the salesperson forgot about it. Now, although unethical, my boss would love to have never paid this bill, especially how much bigger it was since we ordered so much. I let him know, the supplier was grateful for us pointing out the discrepancy. My boss was speechless, a welcome occurrence. Stories number 20. I, F23, found out 7 months ago that my boyfriend, M26, has been cheating on me, but I haven't told him I know. I found out while he was away for work. A girl he slept with sent me a DM on Instagram. She told me everything and even sent pictures. I remember staring at my screen, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. I felt like my entire world had just shattered. I didn't even respond LOL. I just sat there, drowning in a pain. I finally understood what meant to have a dagger to the heart. Anyways, I made a decision I wouldn't confront him. Instead, I grieved and mourned our relationship like it had already died. I've been with him for 3 years. I thought everything was going perfect. I didn't see THs coming at all. That entire week, I was alone, cycling through every emotion imaginable. And this might sound crazy, but there was a part of me that almost needed to feel the pain. Like I was clinging to it, letting it consume me, and this may sound emo but it felt good. I can't explain it, but I felt alive. Maybe this is borderline masochistic, but whatever. This is how I wanted to cope. Meanwhile, the girl kept messaging me. More pictures, more details, receipts lol, and even videos. It just got worse and worse. It turned into taunts and cursing. It felt like she was desperate for us to break up. But I never responded. Instead, I kept reading her messages over and over, torturing myself with the truth until at some point it didn't hurt anymore. I started to feel numb. He was still himself, sweet and caring and affectionate. Like honestly, I wouldn't have suspected a thing if that girl didn't DM me. He would sometimes catch on I'm acting off and I'd blame my hormones or stress from work and he would buy it. I pretended everything was fine and he would have noticed something was deeply wrong if he wasn't busy cheating. I think it also helped we got along very well as roommates and friends. We were still having sex. He was a generous lover, too generous even, and it helped bear with it all. I lied saying my implant fell out, so we began using condoms. And I got myself tested regularly. Thankfully I was clean the whole time. I eventually started seeing him as someone I lived with and we just happened to have sex. It took months, but one day something inside me shifted. Like the love I had for him started fading. I went through every stage of grief. Now I feel free and lighter. I know I can live without him, and that realization is the most liberating feeling. This is the craziest part. Everything I once found beautiful about him started to look distorted. I started to see his flaws. It was like I was under a spell, adoring and loving this man, and now when I look at him I'm like, how? This week, I'm moving into my own place. And I'm finally breaking up with him. I'm mentally checked out and I'm at peace with myself. I am okay. I feel a sense of dread but also relief that I will finally break up with him. It took 7 months to finally get over him. I don't know if I'll tell him that I know he cheated on me or just say I don't want you anymore or just ghost him. All I know is I'm breaking up with him. TLDR, I found out my boyfriend cheated 7 months ago. I stayed with him until I got over him. I plan to break up with him. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You should absolutely tell him you know he cheated. He shouldn't be absolved. Ghost him and leave the screenshots, but at least let him know that you know he's a piece of shit. Reply. I have a private folder on my phone with everything I saved. I was just using it to keep my feelings in check. This is a good idea. Commenter 2. At first I thought you went about it wrong, but you took your time to build your strength and heal. I guess we each have our own journey. That being said, please ghost him and give him no closure. That will mentally mess him up for his betrayal for years to come. Reply. My initial goal wasn't to heal but to feel. I didn't know what I was doing. I ended up healing anyway and I'm glad it worked out. If I ghosted it would definitely mess him up. Besides the relationship, we were best friends. Commenter 3. This is what my psychologist recommends. Feel it and then let it go. I also think that ghosting is the way to go. If you tell him that you know about the cheating, he will get better at hiding it from the next girl or even blame it on the girl who DM you. Ghosting without an explanation will make it easier for you. You don't need to explain. You don't need to waste your time listening to how he would change or that it was a mistake, etc. If you don't give him a reason that he can challenge, it will be better for you. You did the work. You deserve your peace. You owe him nothing. He deserves nothing from you. The opposite of love is indifference. Good for you, by the way. Well done. Reply. I've been dealing with this alone for so long. Mentally sieving through my thoughts, feeling the pain so deeply. It was therapeutic. I was at rock bottom for a while and the only way out was up. I am mentally in a better place. I'm starting to enjoy the little things again. I can finally breathe. The way I dealt with this was definitely unconventional. Thankfully I now do feel indifferent. I am free, and thank you for your kind words. I do deserve peace. Update. I finally moved out early in the morning, right after he left for work. It was his place, and I didn't have much to begin with, so the move was easy. I'd been slowly filling up my new place over the past month, getting everything ready so I could leave without a hassle. A lot of you suggested I ghost him but I couldn't. That's just not me. I don't like disappearing on people, even when they deserve it. So instead, I came back that evening and waited for him to get home from work around 7 p.m. I was nervous, but also kind of relieved for it all to finally be over. When he walked in, I was sitting at the dining table wearing my coat. He immediately sensed something was off. He asked me where I was going, and I told him, home. He laughed and said, but you are home, clearly trying to play it off, but he could tell something was up. Then I sent everything I'd been collecting, screenshots, videos, all of it, to his WhatsApp. He looked confused and asked why I was texting him. And then he opened the messages. I watched the color drain from his face. I didn't think I'd enjoy it, but I did. He went pale, breathing heavily, and just placed his phone on the table, staring at me like I was a ghost. I didn't say anything, just watching him. Then came the begging. He grabbed my hand, apologized over and over, said he didn't mean to cheat, claimed he ended it 3 months ago, that she meant nothing, and how much he loves me and wants to marry me. I told him we're never getting married. It's over. And I didn't say anything else. That's when he broke down crying like a child. I was honestly disgusted. I stood there watching him on his knees, clutching my legs, begging for forgiveness, and I felt nothing. No sympathy. No sadness. Just done. I was completely checked out. I didn't want to say much to him. I just felt numb and it felt pointless. Eventually, he turned into this emotional, sweaty, sobbing mess. When he went to the bathroom, I grabbed my last backpack and left. It's finally over. I'm grateful I don't love him anymore. It was an unconventional way to get over someone, but it worked for me. Thank you for all of the kind messages. Edit. He texted me from a new number and sending me pathetic messages. I posted on my account. TLDR, I moved out whilst he was at work and then came back to show him the evidence and ended it. He broke down. Then I left. Broke up with my ex-BF for cheating and blocked him everywhere. Today he texted me this from a new number. Barf. March 30th, 2025. Full story on my profile page. But long story short, he cheated on me for months. I finally left and suddenly realized how much he loves me. Editor's note, post deleted and the texts unrecoverable, but reading the comments you can get a grasp of them. AIOX thinks I should forgive him for cheating because mistakes happen. Final part. This will be the last time I'll message you. Please hear me out before you block this number too. Natalie, I'm sorry for all the drunk messages last night. One shouldn't have blown up your phone like that, but even now, with a clear head, I can't stop thinking about how easily you shut me out. It's honestly hard to believe the way you've switched off. It's cold, babe. And that's not you. That is not the person I knew. You used to feel everything so deeply, care so hard, and now you're just gone. No emotion, no fight, just silence. It hurts a lot, babe, like I meant nothing to you. You've always been gentle, empathetic, forgiving, and now it's like I'm talking to a version of you I don't even recognize. You're too kind, too pure-hearted to come up with this. It honestly feels like your friends have been in your ear, turning you against me, feeding you this coldness, convincing you to cut me off. They've always been jealous of you. They never had a man that would love them like you did. Who would fight for them like I am for you, because I refuse to believe that the Natalie I knew, Natalie, could just go cold like this without being pushed. No way. It doesn't add up. Please think for yourself. You know how much I love you. Besides this mess, we've always been good together. You're my best friend. We've been there for each other through the hard times. It hurts. Not only it's my fault I'm losing the love of my life, but also my best friend. Lastly, I just wanted to say I'm sorry, Natalie. For everything I did, for cheating, for lying. For all the pain I caused you. I truly hope you find peace. I'm not going to message you again. I'm choosing to let go with grace. Oh, LOL, even if I didn't get the same in return. You made your choice, and as cold as it was, I respect it. I deserve it, and I just hope one day you look back and realize I own my mistakes while you just ice me out instead of working through it. Remember, I wanted to fix this. Still wish you the best. Take care and know that too. Always love you. Goodbye. Stories number 21. What my boyfriend just said to me in my sleep. ETA, I can't fix the title, but I meant to put his sleep, LOL. Also sorry for formatting. On mobile. I have finally found a boyfriend that is compassionate, silly, and really cares about my well-being. Like, honestly, I have been through the trenches with men, and it has been such a relief to finally find someone who just gets me and really cares about me. He also talks in his sleep a lot, LOL, and tonight he made me laugh so hard and also make me feel like he really does care. I had come to bed after working late. The plan was that I go eat something, put the laundry in the dryer and come to bed. When I came back, he was mumbling to me and I asked him, "What is it?" because I kept hearing, "Don't forget, don't forget." After I asked him what, I really expected him to say, to put the laundry in the dryer, but no. He said, "Don't forget to use the seasoning flakes on the table." Omo, I have never heard him say this phrase in my life. Then upon further inquiry, I said, "For what?" and he replied, "For your food, babe. I just want to make sure you always have delicious food. So silly, but I just love this man and I am so happy that he cares about the deliciousness of my food and I can't wait to tell him about this tomorrow lol. Stories number 22. I turned her down and she'll never know why. It's for the best. I'm 30 years old, and I've never been intimate with another person or been in a relationship. Unfortunately, I was born with 2 inches of shame in my nether regions, and no, it doesn't get any bigger. As a result of being brutally bullied in school when I was younger, I hate locker rooms so much, I developed a pretty strong phobia of sex and relationships and generally do not trust or enjoy being around women. For the most part I'm at peace with this. I tried therapy for a while but never found it useful, mainly because of how therapists downplayed my struggles and tried to convince me it was all in my head. It's a bit irritating when people make small dick jokes and then try to gaslight you into thinking it's your imagination, but ultimately there are other things to focus on in life. For me, the risk of being brutally rejected and shamed has always outweighed the potential reward of a girlfriend, especially since any woman I'm with would just be settling for me and see me as a second-choice consolation prize. Being confined to monogamous relationships and disqualified from participating in casual sex and any kinks not involving humiliation or cucking, both of which I despise, ultimately cemented my conclusion that sex and dating are not for me. Last week I was asked out on a date by an absolutely beautiful woman I work with. She had shown strong interest in me and I could tell she was hoping I'd say yes. I said no, of course, as I always do. For the most part it went well, I explained, lied, that I'd never date a coworker and was not looking for a relationship right now. The people I work with know I've turned down another woman before for the same reason, so I think she knew it wasn't anything against her personally. I know I made the right choice, as any emotional attachment built between us would come crashing down the moment she saw my shame. But I still do feel a lingering regret. Is that the right word? More of a sadness that I lost the genetic lottery and am therefore obligated to reject women to protect myself. I suppose there will be comments on this post downplaying the importance of penetration, denying my lived experience, pointing to lesbians, etc. I've seen it before on Reddit when men lament being born so small only to have their sadness and fear be dismissed and disbelieved by obnoxious gaslighters. That's fine, though. It's not like anything anyone says will ever change the strict risk outweighs reward calculus that governs my celibacy. Maybe life would be different if I was average-sized. But I'm not. So I practice celibacy out of self-preservation and politely turn down the small handful of women who have shown interest in me. It's better to be a virgin forever than to risk the wrath and cruelty of others if they were to ever discover my size. Life goes on. Stories number 23. Aita for reminding my mum's best friend of how awful her daughter is when she criticized me. My family and I celebrated Mother's Day last night by hosting a dinner. My mum's best friend, Holly, joined us because they have been close since childhood. My uncle, aunt, their partners, my cousins, and my grandparents were there, so there was around 16 of us, and the older generations know Holly very well. I'm 30, still living with my parents. Holly began to ask when I planned to move out, and I explained my position and the expected timeline. She laughed, said her daughter, Sophie, purchased a house at 18 while studying and bragged about Sophie's prestigious career. Keep in mind, her daughter is in her late 40s and the housing market was very different. She told my mum that she'd be embarrassed if her kids were still at home and implied that I was a failure and that my job is not that good. Now, Sophie is in jail for a pretty hideous crime. There's been a lot on our local news about the case and she's currently working towards a shortened sentence and placing blame on the victim of her crime, very publicly through her lawyer. Yes, she had an impressive career up until this happened, but there is no way that she will be rehired after she is released. I looked Holly in the eye and said that while I might not be a fancy career role, like her daughter, and I might still live with my parents, at least I didn't commit crime. I told her that I think I know who my mum would prefer to have living under her roof. Holly ended up leaving not long after that, and it was obvious she was in tears. My grandparents are furious that I had the audacity to say this, and my uncle has sent a few strongly worded messages. My aunt and my mum are keeping silent, but my cousins are firmly on my side. They're all closer to my age and can empathize with my situation, living at home. TLDR, Mum's BFF was rude to me. I reminded her of her own daughter's behavior. Stories number 24. Aita for leaving our BFF's vacation in the middle of the night while my friends were asleep. I, 19F, went on vacation with my 2 best friends, 18M and 19F, to the beach about 5 hours away. We've all had a great friendship. However, things got so different so fast. About 2 hours into the ride, I noticed them holding hands. They've never shown any romantic interest in one another, so I was surprised, but all is well. I'm happy for them and have my own romantic interest. Hours into the drive, they started acting like they didn't want me there. I had barely even talked the whole time. Eventually they made a pit stop and never woke me up, and when I did wake up I had to pee really bad. When I asked to stop they got annoyed. Before we stopped, my friend snapped a photo of me pretty much dying to pee with my hand shoved between my legs and posted it on Snapchat as a joke. I asked her to take it down because it was embarrassing. She said she didn't know what my problem was. I left it alone and moved on. We were supposed to have dinner together, it was pre-planned. I was doing my own wandering around because I felt like they didn't want me tagging along, and called before we were supposed to meet. They ate at the restaurant without me and didn't tell me, they said they forgot. They were taking a slew of photos for social media saying, besties trip. I wasn't in any, I wasn't tagged, I stopped caring. Instead I walked along the beach, did some fun things by myself. When I got back to the hotel they barely looked at me. I asked if they wanted to go to a little concert event the next night, they said no. I tried to talk and they didn't want to talk to me, just each other. I tried to act unbothered and got on my phone to watch movies. At some point I'm positive I heard them whispering about me and laughing. I just turned my headphones up. The final straw was when we did go to dinner the next night. They were being decent with me, talking at least, so I was happy. While waiting for our food she snapped a photo of me at the other side of the table and wrote, Mackenzie's our third will IG LOL. I got up and left. I went back to the hotel, called my mom crying and she drove the whole way there and picked me up. I left while they were asleep and left a note saying I was going home. I at least wanted them to know I was safe. The next morning they started calling saying, what the fuck? I asked what I did to make them start being mean to me and they said, nothing. I mean it's annoying that you're like, so attached to us constantly. I asked when we were meeting for dinner that we planned ahead of time. I asked once if they wanted to go to a concert, they said no and I said okay. I asked to go to dinner the following night. In total I asked for 2 things. I had fun on my own, didn't guilt trip them, didn't act sad, didn't pester them. They told everyone I ruined their vacation because I left, and that I was just mad they didn't want me up their asses. If it's worth mentioning, I didn't pressure them to go on vacation. They asked me. Aita for leaving. Stories number 25. My sister-in-law keeps finding ways to make my big moments about her. What she did at my baby shower felt like the last straw. I, 32F, really need to get this off my chest because I feel like I'm constantly questioning my own sanity. My husband, Mark, 33M, is truly a wonderful guy, and we're expecting our first baby, a girl, in a couple of months. It should be such a happy time, but his sister, Chloe, 30F, has this way of, well, making things difficult. It's like a pattern. Whenever there's an event that's important to me or us, something happens with Chloe that shifts the focus or just casts a shadow. It's always framed as an accident, or her being forgetful or clumsy, and if I ever seem upset, I'm made to feel like I'm being overly sensitive. Mark tends to give her the benefit of the doubt, saying she's just a bit ditzy or doesn't mean any harm. And I've tried, I really have, to believe that. For example, at our engagement party, she tripped and spilled a dark drink all over the light-colored dress I was wearing. Lots of apologies, of course. For my bachelorette, which my friends planned, she mixed up the dates and booked her travel for the wrong day, causing a lot of stress and last-minute changes to accommodate her. She was mortified about it. At our wedding, she was a bridesmaid, and right before the ceremony, there was a huge drama because she realized she'd forgotten a crucial piece of her outfit, like specific jewelry that was part of the bridesmaid look, leading to a frantic search and delaying things. I've always tried to just smooth it over, say it's okay. Mark usually does too, but my baby shower last weekend just felt different. My best friend, Jess, and my mom hosted it, and it was supposed to be a really lovely, relaxed afternoon with close friends and family. I was actually enjoying myself. Chloe arrived a bit late, apologizing about getting lost, even though she knows the area. Then, while we were all chatting and I was opening some gifts, she started telling this long, very detailed, and quite harrowing story about a friend who had a really traumatic birth experience recently. She didn't just mention it briefly, she went into graphic detail. The kind of details no pregnant woman, especially a first-time mom a few weeks from her due date, wants to hear. She talked about complications, emergency interventions, the baby's distress, the whole 9 yards. She told it with this air of, oh, it was just so awful, I can't stop thinking about it, but she was looking right at me for a good part of it. The mood in the room just plummeted. You could feel the discomfort. A couple of my friends tried to gently change the subject, but Chloe just kept going, almost like she didn't notice, or didn't care, that she was making everyone, especially me, incredibly anxious. I felt my heart start to race, and I could barely concentrate on anything else. Jess eventually had to very firmly interrupt her and steer the conversation elsewhere. Later, when Chloe was apologizing to me privately for maybe oversharing, she said, "Oh, I just thought, it's good to be prepared for anything. I didn't mean to scare you." But her eyes had that same flicker I've seen before, like she knew exactly what she was doing. When Mark and I talked about it later, he initially said, "Well, maybe she was just trying to be helpful in her own way. Chloe, she doesn't always think things through." And that's when I just felt so defeated. I asked him, "Mark, how is telling a pregnant woman terrifying birth stories at her own baby shower helpful? How is that anything but incredibly insensitive and thoughtless, at best?" He did concede it was bad timing and poorly judged, but I still don't think he fully gets the pattern of her behavior. It's not one big, obvious thing. It's this constant drip, drip, drip of accidents and thoughtless comments that always seem to happen when I'm supposed to be happy or celebrating something. The story at the shower wasn't as overtly sabotage as a wrongly named blanket, but it was just as effective at ruining the moment and planting a seed of fear and anxiety right when I'm at my most vulnerable. I'm just so tired of it. I'm tired of having to brace myself for what she might do next. I haven't said anything more to Chloe, but I can't just keep pretending this is normal or acceptable. I don't want this kind of energy around me or my baby. It's not about wanting a fight, it's about wanting some peace and respect, especially now. This latest incident has really made me feel like I need to draw a line. Stories number 27. Aita for refusing to apologize for not inviting my dad's wife to my wedding because they were divorcing at the time. I, 28F, got married in November. I didn't invite my dad's wife at the time because they were mid-divorce and had been separated divorcing for about 2.5 years. A month after my wedding they called off the divorce and decided to stay together, and now both are upset with me for not inviting her. They got married when I was 7 and they've had a rocky enough relationship, but when they were divorcing it was the first time they had broken up or had things get to the point that they were no longer a couple. This was something they both mentioned when bringing up the fact she was not invited. They said she had been in my life since I was 6 years old, and after all those years she should have been on the guest list as my family, as the mother of the bride, even if they were no longer going to be together. There were other issues raised, like the fact my brother, 30M, and I didn't talk to her throughout the period of time they were separated divorcing. But the wedding has been the real point of contention. My dad's wife has suggested I got married during that time to spite her because I wasn't busy planning my wedding when they were happily married. I put happily like that because she said they were happily married, but again the relationship was rocky from very early and I don't know if I'd really buy the happy part. The part about me not planning my wedding earlier is bringing up the fact that I technically got engaged at 18 and didn't rush to get married. My husband and I focused on building up ourselves and our life together first. In all the complaints about me not inviting her to the wedding, they have demanded an apology repeatedly. Dad said he knows I likely did it for him, but that I could have, and should have, invited her whether they were together or not. I told him he wasn't the reason I didn't invite her. I said I didn't invite her because I chose not to myself. He didn't believe me. His wife has told me she really feels like I snubbed her with the wedding stunt, and that an apology means we can all start anew and focus on better things, like all of us being a family and happy and loving each other. I have refused to apologize because I do not regret my choice. I don't feel bad about it. And I would make the same choice again in the same circumstances. The only reason she ever would have been invited is if they were together, and they weren't at that time. My brother stands by what I'm doing. My husband stands by me too, and he thinks it's crazy that this has become such a big deal. But I don't want to tell a lie. And I don't want to invite the idea to have another wedding so she can be there, which has been kinda hinted at. Stories number 26. For moving out early after learning my horrible roommate is terminally ill. For the last 6 months, I have endured living with what I thought was an incompetent, lazy individual. He would leave dishes in the dishwasher for weeks, pile up trash on the kitchen table, and keep his personal items all over common areas of the house. He also sleeps in the living even though he has a room, and blasts the TV until 4 a.m. on weekdays. He leaves his laundry in the washer for weeks, washing dishes with bleach and floor cleaner. Like, this is just a few of the things I have experienced. There's worse. Well, I recently learned after confronting my landlord yet again with a variety of issues that this roommate has high blood pressure, chronic heart disease, and stage kidney disease and needs dialysis to live. While I was shocked and felt bad, especially because I ignore him completely, I'm a little upset my landlord didn't disclose he was basically in hospice care prior to me moving in. Overall, I am starting to honestly understand his behavior more, and have more empathy. I think he should have did assisted living more than living with roommates who he is kind of dependent for care. Instead of staying, however, I am even more of a rush to move before my lease ends. I am a little freaked out by the whole thing, I must admit, mainly because for someone with a terminal illness he doesn't eat well or take care of himself, and I'm scared to walk in the living room one day and he's not breathing. Last night his breathing was so heavy it was so scary. My landlord just got laid off and could use the extra money, but I told him I'm moving out by 6/1 anyway. I know this will leave my landlord with a financial burden, but I need to do what's best for me. My friend said I need more empathy, but I feel like prioritizing myself is more important. Edit. Based on the comments, I'm learning that his condition is not terminal and is not dying, just chronically sick. I really appreciate all the medical education being given. Sorry if I appear ignorant, I just simply didn't know and Googling wasn't much help tbh. Stories number 27. I manage a terrible slob. How can I convince her upset coworker that I'm handling it? I supervise a team of 7, split between 2 offices. Sally is an employee in her early 20s working in the opposite office as myself. Sally is a slob. This is not typical workplace clutter. She leaves work and personal items all over the office, moldy food containers, piles of work items, boxes, etc. Her messes have taken up to an hour to clean up. Her own office is such a mess that she spreads her work out to all of the common areas in the office, and then leaves the common areas a mess. She has not responded to typical feedback or formal warnings, and the issue has been escalated to HR. Sally will be placed on a PIP next week. The other team members in that office, especially Susie, are understandably frustrated. The other 2 people on the team feel like they are stuck cleaning up Sally's messes because they want the office to be presentable when clients visit. I have asked them several times to please not clean up after Sally. Instead, I have asked them to notify me, and I will drive in from the other office, a 15-minute drive, and address it with Sally directly. If Sally is out that day, I have told them that I will drive to the office and clean it myself. This has rarely happened. Often, Susie will clean up the mess, and then call me frustrated. The HR process has been extremely slow, but the PIP is finally in progress and will be shared with Sally next week. I'm stuck on how I address this with Susie. She calls me almost daily, often in tears, to complain about Sally's messes. Susie is rightfully frustrated that Sally's mess impacts her own work. I always reiterate that I could be there within 15 minutes to have it cleaned up, so it wasn't Susie's problem, but she always cleans it herself regardless. I always repeat to Susie that I am aware of the situation and it is being addressed. I am not willing to share much more than it has been addressed to protect Sally's privacy. Susie has questioned me on if I have even talked to Sally about the issue. Because she isn't seeing any changes in Sally's behavior, she doesn't believe it's been addressed at all. I keep repeating, it has been addressed, or I am working with my supervisor on a solution, hoping she will get the idea that HR has gotten involved. Furthermore, she continues to clean up Sally's messes instead of calling me, which is making it hard for me to hold Sally accountable. How do I convince Susie that I am addressing the issue? I get the feeling she thinks I am ignoring the issue and losing trust in me, which is obviously not the case. She is becoming resentful of doing all of the cleaning, even though I have asked her outright multiple times to not. Aside from outright telling Susie that Sally is being put on a PIP, which I obviously wouldn't do, how do I get her to trust me that this is being addressed? I'm at my wit's end here. Editor's note: for Allison's response to the original poster, please refer to the link here. Update: I actually have an update to this situation right now. I appreciated so much of the advice in the comments, as well as yours. I didn't get much into everything I had done with Sally since my question was really about Susie, but it really did sound like I was blowing off Susie without that additional context. Susie and Sally have separate offices with doors on a large campus. Most of Susie's work happens on her computer, except for an occasional client meeting, once a week or so, which are not random and always scheduled in advance. Susie's office is pristine. She has been offered the chance to switch offices to be away from Sally, and we are all permitted to work from home up to 3 times a week. Susie has refused both options. The nature of Sally's work is only possible at that office, so she is unable to transfer. The tools she needs are only available there. I do work from their office at minimum 2 times a week to keep an eye on the situation. Truly, I do not understand how the mess grows so large so quickly. It's impressive and baffling. We work in a creative field, so this isn't just typical paperwork and office supplies, but paints, tools, etc. I supervise a team of 7, and much of my direct responsibilities need to happen in my office. Between managing the other 5 people on the team and my own projects, babysitting the mess with Sally is adding quite a bit to my workload. And yes, per my boss, I do drop what I am doing to drive to the other office to clean if needed. The messes are frequent, but I want to make it clear that Susie will still call me crying over a mess that has already been cleaned. The mess could occur and be cleaned up on a Monday, and Susie is still calling me crying about it on a Friday. Along with a load of coaching, feedback, and less formal conversations. Sally has also been written up 3 times and is now on a PIP. This is the process in my company. My hands were tied by HR, who for some reason have a soft spot for Sally. I am a middle manager and had to go through my supervisor and HR. I don't actually have the authority to fire anyone. The process was in place, I just had no idea how to professionally convey this information to Susie. I also want to add, Susie is continuously exceeding her goals and has been given a raise recently. Other than her mess, Sally also produces excellent work. Susie and Sally are actually quite good friends and hang out a lot outside of work. Susie recently had a baby and Sally threw a shower. I think that plays into this. Susie is not being completely honest with Sally on how this makes her feel, while also feeling obligated as a friend to help. I'm honestly surprised Sally never shared about the write-ups with Susie because they do seem to discuss everything. Anyway, for the update. Per our company's policy, Sally was placed on the PIP, which she responded to well. She knew it was coming and has, so far, appreciated the clear direction. Unfortunately, she is dealing with a mental health crisis at the moment, and the problem with the messes really increased after a traumatic event in her life this winter. She is working with a doctor to address this issue at home with her family too, and is going to be looking into some extended time off. We're working with our HR department to put some formal accommodations in place. She does produce excellent work and is a client favorite. I always wanted to see her succeed. As for Susie, she did actually catch on that my boss and I were actively addressing the situation with Sally because another coworker pointed it out. Don't you notice that she has twice as many meetings with Sally as anyone else, and she comes out here multiple times a week, and continuously has HR check-ins on her calendar. I'm a little grateful that other team member pointed out what I was trying to allude to. Now that Sally has been more upfront about her personal situation, Susie has apologized to both Sally and I for responding with such anger. She and I have developed a system where she sends me a message on Teams that says, "Please come to our office today, if a mess needs to be addressed." She, thankfully, is starting to stop cleaning up after Sally and letting me know before it gets too bad so I can assist Sally with getting it cleaned up herself. Another great update, my boss voiced to me that she made a mistake by not escalating this to HR faster, and she has made a plan to spend more time at Sally's office to help her address the ongoing mess. I appreciate the advice from you and read your site often. Thank you for what you do. Stories number 28. My 27M, FIL, 59M, led a smear campaign against me and came between me and my wife, 29F. I'm lost. How do I forge forward? My 27M, wife, 29F, and I aren't in a good place. It's not a fun feeling. I feel context is important here. We're college sweethearts married for 6 years and have a daughter, 4F. Our constant hurdle is family. It's like having to validate our relationship. I always thought my wife was worth it, though. I haven't felt for anyone else the way I do about her. My wife's family is very old school. They're conservative in their beliefs and values. My FIL, 59M, is treated as the captain and looked to as the head. My relationship with him was never smooth, not for my lack of trying. Him putting up with me only came after my daughter. I don't believe he's ever thought I was good enough for his daughter. I wasn't his first choice or in his top 5. I don't share their gated community or fancy schools background. My FIL always had some backhanded remark about my upbringing. During a family gathering at my in-laws last Christmas, my FIL's iPad went missing. He blew a fuse and accused me of stealing it. His reasoning was there was a period of time I was alone in the house. I was never actually alone in the house. I was helping my MIL, 58F, in the kitchen because people were kicking back their feet while she was slaving away for a big family. There was no reasoning with him. He called the police and actually told the officers how a real man would own up when caught, but I was never taught to be a man. Another backhanded remark. I was raised in a household of women. My FIL expressed once that only a man can raise a boy into a man. I spoke up for myself during his rantings. The whole situation was humiliating, but I had nothing to hide. The officers had to de-escalate and stood around until everyone went their separate ways. My FIL did a smear campaign on social media accusing me of theft and saying how I wasn't family. Some real vicious stuff was said. It impacted my life. I lost a job opportunity because his posts came up in the vetting process. The company was rebranding and didn't want drama associated. Essentially, I was shunned from the family. There were those who didn't agree with my FIL, but they wanted to stay out of it. No one wanted to cross him. I was no longer welcomed on my in-laws' property until I confessed and apologized. My wife still attended everything without me and took our daughter with her even on NYE. I wanted to spend it with her and our daughter, but she chose to appease her dad and keep tradition. During all of my FIL's accusations, the smear campaign, and shunning, my wife didn't lend me support in any way. She bowed to her dad and would tell me to just apologize. She said I was being stubborn by refusing. It wasn't about apologizing. My FIL wanted me to beg. I'm not a prideful person, but I'm not getting on my knees and pleading for forgiveness for something I didn't commit. My wife said she was only trying to keep the peace instead of being right. Once my FIL badmouthed me around our daughter, and my wife never spoke up. She claimed she didn't hear him. I don't believe she would have done anything either way. Our daughter kept me afloat. I put my foot down on her attending gatherings after the badmouthing. My wife accused me of escalating by withholding our daughter. I felt my FIL tried to influence my child against me. My move was for boundaries. I wasn't asking my wife to cut off her dad. I know how important family is to her. But we're married. We have a child. We made vows. I only wanted her to be there for me as my partner and best friend. She abandoned me. I had more support from my MIL and SIL, 35F, than I ever did from her. We fought a lot. We were pushed to a new level of argument. I held everything in, and we'd blow up. My wife said she'd dealt with her dad her whole life, and she learned sometimes it was better to just yield. About a month ago, my name was cleared. My SIL found the iPad in her son's, 9M, room. He confessed to taking it. He was afraid to say anything after my FIL's reaction to me. My FIL has never apologized or publicly recanted. He acts like nothing happened, and the rest of the family followed suit. He had my MIL relay that I was welcome to their home again. Others began inviting me to functions. I've declined for myself and my daughter. I'm not holding grudges or using my daughter as punishment. I saw who my FIL was clearly. I don't want any involvement with him unless necessary, nor is my daughter allowed to have unsupervised visits with him. I don't want her exposed to the ugliness. The situation remains a sore on my marriage. My wife won't talk about it. If I try, she says I'm throwing the past in her face. I'm just trying to open up to her about how everything still affects me. She feels I'm not working toward keeping the peace. My FIL falsely accused me of theft, led a smear campaign, badmouthed me around our daughter, and was enabled by some family. This is me keeping the peace. If this post is the right call. My wife wouldn't approve, but there's no talking to her about this in any real way. I'm lost. We've never been so disconnected. I'm in love with her. I wouldn't have stayed if I wasn't. I want to work on our marriage and do right by our daughter. I don't regret my choice on my FIL, but I am questioning if I'm making things worse. I feel alone. I need a fresh perspective. How do I move forward as healthily as possible for my marriage when it were to step? TLDR, my FIL falsely accused me of stealing from him and went on a smear campaign. I was essentially shunned from the family. He even badmouthed me around my child. I received no support from my wife whatsoever. She wanted me to apologize to keep the peace. The whole ordeal came between us. My name was cleared, but my FIL hasn't apologized. I don't want anything to do with him or for my daughter to have unsupervised contact with him. My wife doesn't support me on this. I want to work on our marriage and do right by our daughter. How do I move forward as healthily as possible for my marriage when it were to step? Update. I, 27M, want to thank everyone for the support. I appreciate it. The original post was the first time I put everything out there and didn't feel dismissed. The situation with my FIL, 59M, was extensive and largely unaddressed by my wife, 29F. It occurred to me that, not being able to open up to her, I didn't know how to communicate with her anymore. The feedback I received was a real eye-opener. My issue isn't isolated to my FIL. This isn't solely a spat with in-laws. It's an issue involving my wife. Things with my FIL are what they are. I'm not seeking a deeper connection with him. We're in-laws, nothing more, nothing less, and he made it abundantly clear in his smear campaign that I wasn't family but a hurdle the family needed to overcome. My concern is my wife and our daughter, 4F. They're my family and my focus. That said, I realize I can't make my wife do anything. I can't make her communicate with me. I can't make her instill boundaries with her dad. I only have a say for myself and our daughter. I know something needs to change. Our marriage can't be sustained this way. It's not good for anyone, especially our daughter. After getting my feelings out, I've felt more resolved with what I needed to do. I told my wife about the original post. She's seen it in some comments. She wasn't thrilled, but to her credit, she didn't automatically shut me down like usual. She was open to hearing what I had to say. If ultimatum is the right term because I wasn't trying to force her to choose anything. I'm just trying to implement boundaries for our daughter and our marriage. I told her that things needed to change because our marriage couldn't survive like this. No one should feel alone or abandoned in their marriage. The options were either couples therapy or separation. She didn't take to separation well. She seemed repulsed by it. She said she knew we weren't in a good place, but she didn't realize that was where I was at and how we made vows and our bond is supposed to withstand. She feels her dad shouldn't take away from us. I told her I wasn't taking separation lightly. Our vows do mean something, but whether she admits it or not, she checked out on our vows in favor of her dad. It wasn't keeping the peace. It was me drowning while she was on her dad's boat and never tossed me a line. Our issues are bigger than just her dad. Our current way isn't it. My wife chose therapy. We found a therapist, and it's officially scheduled. I want to be hopeful, but that's not something I've let myself feel for a bit now. I don't believe she was only telling me what she thought I wanted to hear. I saw the reality of it hit her when separation was put on the table. I asked her if MC was something she really wanted. I'm not talking about the sometimes it's better to yield thing she said about her dad or for keeping the peace. I was asking what she genuinely wanted. She said it was and that she doesn't want to lose our relationship or our family. Some have questioned why I'd want to try working on my marriage. It's not about staying for our daughter. I want to make a real attempt for my family and see if things can be mended. I know there's more to my wife than just my FIL. I fell in love with her because of who she was as a person. When we met and got to know each other, it was away from her dad. I saw how caring she was for others even if she didn't agree with their POV, how decent she was, and how she had a weight off her shoulders with distance from her dad's shadow. My wife is the youngest of her siblings, and I would say my in-laws hold on to her more tightly. I didn't know how bad things were until I actually dealt with my FIL. It's why she chose a long-distance school and didn't go home on breaks often. Her work moved us closer to home, and she was back into the fold fully. My FIL's smear campaign was our first major obstacle following that. I'm in love with my wife, but I'm not speaking out of blind love. Whether we're together or not, I want the best for her. Part of my hope for MC is that she regains sight of herself separate from her dad and sees that boundaries for herself aren't crossing a line. Maybe we can recover together and come out better for it. I know we got married a little young. Trust me, we'd heard our fair share from the skeptics, but I was always sure of my wife. Marriage wasn't something I took lightly. I didn't expect there to be nothing but clear skies, but we should want more from each other. Being there for each other and emotional intimacy are the bare minimum. We should be a team. Our family is the core before any other relationship. To me, our vows mean consciously choosing each other and committing to each other even when it's hard. What MC will bring. It'll be my first experience with therapy. All I can do is take everything one step at a time and reaffirm boundaries for myself and my daughter. I'm not withholding my daughter as punishment or holding grudges. I don't even want an apology from my FIL because I know it'll be empty. I'm just done giving him any more power. I'm protecting my daughter too. To those who haven't experienced something like this, I hope you never will, and for those in a similar struggle, I hope for nothing but the best for you. You're not alone. Thank you for showing me that I'm not either. TLDR update on, my FIL falsely accused me of stealing from him and went on a smear campaign. I was essentially shunned from the family. He even badmouthed me around my child. I received no support from my wife whatsoever. She wanted me to apologize to keep the peace. The whole ordeal came between us. My name was cleared, but my FIL hasn't apologized. I don't want anything to do with him or for my daughter to have unsupervised contact with him. My wife doesn't support me on this. I want to work on our marriage and do right by our daughter. How do I move forward as healthily as possible for my marriage when it were to step? Stories number 30. Aita for canceling my wedding. My possibly soon-to-be ex, M28, and I, F25, were due to be married less than a week ago. We are very untraditional and spent the night before together, just talking and reminiscing on what got us to that point. I've always known he is bi, and it's never been an issue, it's just who he is. We have a very close-knit group of friends, and he and his best friend grew up together and were one another's support system throughout university. He's been very open about all this since I first met him. However, one thing I wasn't aware of is that they were involved, and that my possible ex is still in love with him, and the feeling is mutual. I asked him if he'd cheated on me before, and he confessed to a few slip-ups but refused to go into detail. The morning of the wedding I woke feeling sick and just totally overwhelmed and stressed. I was questioning everything that's happened since we got together, and spoke to his best friend to confirm what I'd been told, which he did after an attempt to lie. I've cancelled the wedding and told him I need time to think, but I'm not sure I can get past the cheating. I feel emotionally shattered. It's only been a few days but his family and mine keep calling me trying to get me to feel guilty for my choice. We were paying for our wedding ourselves and it was a small, local affair, but I understand people might be disappointed that something they've waited for isn't going to happen, possibly ever. Stories number 32. My 35F fiance, 35M, just walked out on my a week before our IVF cycle starts. I ordered my IVF meds today. We're supposed to leave for NYC in a week. Everything is booked and paid for. The total cost is around $30,000, and I am paying for it without any financial help from him. This is our second round. I paid for the first one too, $32,000. He's paid $1,000 for a semen analysis, that's it, while I've bent over backwards to pay $62,000 in total. I've handled every hotel, every appointment, every logistical detail. I did all the research. I found the doctor. I've paid for everything. I've done this entire process alone. Tonight just broke something in me. We were supposed to go to his mom's birthday party in Boston tomorrow. I told him I didn't have the mental space. I told him that I'm scared my period will come early, and I don't want to be 4 hours from home with nothing packed and everything on the line. Instead of reassuring me, he just stared at me. It was so bizarre. No hug. No comfort. Just blankness. When I got upset and panicky, he got defensive. It brought everything back from last time. When he completely disappeared emotionally, and I had to grieve the failed cycle alone. When I was going through hell, he acted like nothing was happening. Like if he ignored it, it would go away. Today, while I was ordering meds and barely holding it together, he was talking about quitting his job and getting a BMW. I'm not exaggerating. I've spent $61,000 on this. It's his sperm issue that requires IVF. Something we were told by the urologist was due to lifestyle factors, i.e. vaping, weed, unhealthy diet, etc. He's made changes, but only in the last week despite my asking him to change things for months. And somehow, I'm still the only one showing up. Not just financially, but also physically and emotionally. When I asked him why he couldn't step up emotionally and support me, even just hug me, he said that I have a bad temper. When I told him I couldn't do this with him if this is how he acts, he yelled, "Fine, do it yourself then," and walked out of our apartment. So now I'm sitting here completely spiraling. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this with someone who vanishes when I'm vulnerable. How will he be a father if he can't even hold my hand when I'm scared? How will he grieve with me if it fails again? How will he show up for a child when he can't show up for me? I'm heartbroken. I don't think I can go through this cycle with him. TLDR, I've spent $60,000 on IVF and done 100% of the planning and emotional labor. My fiancé has contributed nothing, and tonight, when I needed comfort, he walked out. IVF starts next week. I think I'm realizing I can't do this with him. Stories number 33. Stop, I'm assuming I'm a good ol' boy. The last 2 places I've worked I've had issues with dudes being way too comfortable spouting their racial hate. I get it. I'm white, covered in tattoos, and blue collar. I let the little comments pass because I mean it's whatever. After 4 years in Marine Corps infantry I can pretty much ignore anyone that annoys me. But because I'm just trying to be polite and not cause friction, I guess it's assumed that I'm cool with it, even though every time they make a little remark I just kinda stare at them until they say something that isn't stupid. And then of course the time comes when we're the only 2 around and then they really start letting those hard R's out and I lose it every time. I'm on a fast track to take a higher position in my company, so I'm really not trying to let some dumb dude ruin that for me. So I pull them aside and explain why that was awful for them to say and why I won't allow it. Now I have a 60-year-old man walking around my job site acting like a baby, refusing to talk to me because I checked his racist bullshit. I mean, that last part is kinda funny to me, but come on dude. Grow TF up. It's not a dunk to hate on people just because of what they look like or where they were born. You're just an asshole, but worse, because you won't openly say that shit. You only say it when you feel safe. Edit. Stop telling me I'm inviting this to happen with inaction. I'm a polite, quiet person. I don't know if it's from my childhood, or the war, or if this is just how I am, but it's quite hard for me to talk to people. It physically drains me a lot of the time. I filed an HR complaint at my last job, went off on everyone at a work meeting about how people were treated, and quit my job on the spot with no backup plan because of how they were treating people. I'm assuming anyone saying that from this point on is trolling. Thank you to everyone else for the support. I didn't know so many other people dealt with this bullshit too. Stories number 33. To fool by booking the flights and arriving a day earlier than your hotel reservation, parents and wife don't know yet. I'm currently in full panic mode after realizing I've royally screwed up our family vacation planning, and I'm the designated, responsible one, who handles all the booking. Long story short, I managed to book flights for our family of 4 to arrive at our destination a whole day before our hotel reservation starts. And now our main hotel is fully booked for that night, so we can't even adjust it. The amount of tabs I had open while planning this trip should have been my first warning sign. Flight prices for different days, hotel options, car rentals, vacation packages. My browser looked like a digital hoarder situation. I decided I'd take care of all the bookings at once. Got our flights for what seemed like a steal. Should have known the universe doesn't just hand out travel deals without consequences. Just double-checked everything today, thank God I did before we left, and realized our flights land at 2 p.m. on the 15th, but our hotel reservation and airport parking both start on the 16th. So now we're looking at nowhere to stay that first night, no parking for our car at home, a family of 4 with luggage potentially homeless in a tourist city, me facing the judgment of my spouse who specifically asked, "Are you sure the dates line up?" Now I'm frantically searching for a one-night hotel that won't cost a fortune, and trying to figure out if we can add an extra day to our airport parking without taking out a second mortgage. The worst part? I'm the one who always lectures everyone about checking and double-checking travel plans. TLDR, booked family flights a day earlier than hotel reservation, main hotel fully booked that night, now have to scramble for a one-night solution and explain to my family why we're hotel hopping on vacation. Stories number 35. Aita for kicking my brother out after I walked out of my en-suite shower naked and he told me to cover up in my own bedroom. My brother, 22M, was staying with me, 23F, for a few days. I was pretty much in my bedroom for the whole day, and he was in the living room when I went to have a shower in my bathroom in my bedroom and I was in there for a while. I had my clothes ready on my bed for me to get changed when I came out. I finished my shower, dried myself, and came out naked into my bedroom to get changed. I was surprised to see my brother sitting at the desk in my room on his laptop and he had his backpack there and he turned around and had the audacity to tell me to get a towel and cover up while he was looking at me. I told him to get out of my room and he told me he was in the middle of working on something, on his laptop, setting something up and told me to get dressed away from him. I lost my patience and got mad and yelled at him to GTFO of my room and practically pushed him out and he literally was like angry at me telling me to put some clothes on first and that he's in the middle of something important and when he was out the door he tried saying he needs his laptop and stuff now and grabbed my hips and started pushing me back and I just shut him out and he told me not to go near his stuff. I got changed and went out and he said, "Can I get back to my laptop now?" And I told him he can grab his stuff and get the fuck out of my place. He told me to calm down and I just told him to pack up and get a hotel. He must have ended up complaining to our mom because she texted me later telling me I should still accommodate him since he's my brother. And he has kept texting me asking if he can stay still or at least come over for a quick visit but I've said no. He was invading my space and making me uncomfortable. Stories number 36. AIO she shit with me in the shower. Hello, long-time lurker, first-time poster. Throw away cause I don't want this affiliated with my main. I, F22, have been dating this girl, F21, for about 3 months and it's been great. The only red flag I've seen before this was she was a bit messy, leaving things without putting them away, including trash. Anyway, yesterday we went to a karaoke club, got super wasted and she spilled her drink all over us. No big deal, we went to my apartment. We were in the shower, nothing sexy or anything, we were too drunk for that, but I remember looking down and there was a streak on the bottom of the shower and I asked her what it was. I shit you not, she said, "Oopsie, I did a poopsie," and pushed a ball of shit into the drain with her toe. I didn't know what to say, I kinda just stood there, this chick really just pooped. I told myself that she was drunk and we could talk about it tomorrow, today. Fast forward to this morning. We woke up, I could not get what I saw yesterday out of my head and so I tried to keep it light and laugh about the pooping, maybe try to get it into the toilet in the future. And she goes on to explain that she just feels comfortable with me and doesn't want to hide who she is anymore. I asked if she poops in the shower all the time, she does. I asked if she could refrain from doing so in my shower and she agreed. I just feel like I can't move past this and look at her the same and kind of want to break up with her. Am I overreacting? Stories number 37. Did I overreact to his response about not being one of those Andrew Tate guys? Me, at least you're not one of those Andrew Tate guys. I think, got that going for you. Him, I mean I'm pro men's rights but that guy is a con artist. I'm pro rights all around, men and women. Me, what rights do men not have? Him, steering clear of this subject. Me, interesting. Him, listen, I pick my battles wisely. Me, I take back my original statement, that's suspicious as hell. And then he goes on to say, after trying to avoid talking about it because he had to work, some issues on men's issues, women overlook and a load of women's issues, which granted are decided by men in a court of law, are also overlooked. He then clarified he meant he's pro men's health issues and men's mental health, not men's rights, but also said, come on, let's not debate now, I gotta do work. And then said, let's have this conversation tomorrow. I just ended the conversation without getting any details and told him I don't want to know. Maybe that's where I'm wrong. I just stopped responding because this screams red flag to me. What men's mental health has to do with Andrew Tate when we were not on the topic of men's issues at all. He recognized women's issues as well, but that just sounded like he was adding it on to look better. I could be reading into this too deep, but it was just such an odd response, bringing up men's issues and not anything about how vile that woman abuser criminal is. Update. He said he didn't really know who Andrew Tate is, I haven't heard what he likes to say. How can I defend that? Few memes now and again about vaping and PPL having fun in the sunshine is all I know. Maybe I did overreact if he's telling the truth here, but for some reason it still doesn't make sense. And note, what prompted me to make that comment was because he was talking about how he's had no luck on dating apps or finding a woman. I was trying to uplift him. We are kind of talking, kind of not, I tend to keep men at an arm's length. Stories number 38. Wibta if I told my friend what another friend disclosed to me about her husband. A few months ago I had a birthday party where I invited some friends, and a group of people I work with. The notable players here are my best friend Tina, a married couple that I work with, Katie and Keith, and another married couple, John and Amanda, who is actually employed by Katie and Keith. After the first bar, a few people left, a few people went home, specifically Katie and John drove Katie home. Keith and Amanda came to another bar with us, essentially trading spouses in a non-sexual way. This was also the first time Tina has met any of them. Honestly, I was a little drunk and with my husband most of the night, so I wasn't the most observant person. This past weekend, I met up with Tina for the first time since my party and she brought up how much fun we had. She said to me, who was the couple that came out with us? They were fun. I said, oh, they're not a couple, they're just friends. Keith's married to Katie and John's married to Amanda. Tina said, oof, well, someone better tell Katie and John that their spouses were all over each other. I asked my friend what she meant and she said, I assumed that because they came together and they were all over each other at the bar, holding hands and shit, they were married. I confirmed they're not married and my friend again just said, oof, well, do with that information what you will. Now I'm struggling to know what to do with that information. As far as I know, there's no open marriage or anything. I have also witnessed some questionable interactions at work between Keith and Amanda that I just pushed off because I didn't have enough context or I didn't want to seem nosy. Would I be the asshole if I mentioned to Katie what Tina said to me? It's been months since this party. I would seem so nosy. We all work together. I don't want to overreact. Edit. It seems like most people are team, stay out of it. I do admit I have that nagging pain in the pit of my stomach from my past, but I can see why everyone feels like it could blow up in my face. If anyone is still reading, Tina, my husband, and Keith were all sober, and are sober people outside of this setting. My husband said he didn't see anything, but he said they weren't his primary focus. Me and Katie were both drunk along with another friend who plays no part. Again, I don't know their marital arrangement, if they're swingers, poly. Like I said, it's never come up and I've never questioned it. I've just witnessed a few interactions between Keith and Amanda that made me question what is going on between them, but I kept myself out of it. I've never seen anything between John and Katie of that nature, but John doesn't work in the building with us. My employment is not as risk since I with them in a space, but I'm self-employed. If something is going on, I guess it all will implode at some point. If I get asked, well, who knows what I'll do in that moment. Stories number 39. Did LSD and now am straight. Hey, before starting I want to say that I in no way think homosexuality is something to be cured. It's just something that happened to me and I can't tell anyone about it IRL. I was a closeted bisexual man, something that I'll admit I was a bit troubled by since I was raised in a very conservative context, but it was also something I wasn't trying to change or suppress, more so I just didn't know what would happen if I met the love of my life and someone I would want to marry and it was a man, which would put strain on my relationships. I was really attracted to men and only partly attracted to women. I did a lot more LSD than I should have a few months ago, and when it started wearing off all I could think about was women, but like in a really weird spiritual connection way. After I came off, I expected me to go back to normal, but I haven't. It's been months and matter of fact not only have I lost complete interest in men but I find myself wanting a wife and kids and looking at women on the street way more often than before. I've worried it's just me trying to suppress liking men, but it's really not that, I just don't find men appealing anymore and I'm appalled. Especially considering I was pretty much the other way around before LSD. I don't know what to do. I can't tell the people in my life because none of them knew this was happening in the first place. This is kinda hilarious, but it's also something that weirds me the hell out and what the hell is going on. Stories number 40. Aita to address my MIL comments about my 7-year-old's weight. I, 44F, and my husband, 46, have been married for 15 years. My husband had a disconnected relationship with his mother due to issues with his stepfather until around the time our daughter, 7, was born. Thankfully they were able to move past their relationship issues, and she has been in my daughter's life as she is, and will be, the only grandchild, as my SIL has decided she and her husband do not want children. They live about 10 hours away, however. My SIL and MIL visit us all the time and I love them both. My husband and I both dealt with being very overweight as children and I to adulthood, so, while unfortunate, it was not shocking that our daughter is overweight regardless of any steps we take. She is very active. She goes to gymnastics twice a week and we take her to parks, ride bikes, run around with her cousins, 8 and 12, and will be attending summer camp at the YMCA all summer where they swim every day. We're also working hard to change our dietary choices as well. On the most recent visit from my MIL and SIL around Christmas 2024 I had to work several days, so I wasn't around as much as normal for their visit. The morning they were leaving we were getting ready to load up their car and get them on the road and we were saying our goodbyes. All of a sudden my MIL looked at my daughter and said, "Remember what Nana said, for every pound you lose I'll give you $2. This caught me off guard and I was furious. I took my husband aside and expressed how angry that made me, as my dad, who always meant well, would constantly bring up my weight. Actually, he still does, despite the face that I had gastric bypass surgery in 2016 and have lost 125 pounds and kept it off. My husband said I was overreacting, but I continued to press. I told him to talk to his mother and let her know that we never want to hear her bring up my daughter's weight again. Flash forward to this past week while on a speaker call with my MIL and she said it again. I looked at my husband and I realized he never spoke to his mother. He put up his hand as to tell me to let it go, however, I couldn't. I politely said, "Hey, Nana. My father used to bring up my weight again and again as a child and adolescent and I have lasting emotional scars from that, so I would appreciate it if we didn't talk about my daughter's weight." Now my husband is mad and seems to side with my MIL. I told him if he had just addressed it with his mom months ago I wouldn't have had to address it. I also forgot to mention that my SIL and BL point out her bad food choices and tell her constantly to get off the iPad and exercise. My SIL is overweight, however, she works out multiple times per week, and my BAL is a former Marine who maintains a good weight. I try very hard to treat my daughter the way my mother did. She never talked about my weight and always made me feel accepted and beautiful. So, AITA for addressing this with my MIL. Stories number 41. College didn't indoctrinate your kid, it was their first time living without you and they couldn't get enough. There's a pretty stark movement of anti-intellectualism in the US among parents of older generations to think that college is teaching their children to hate their parents and push agendas. It's not. Public colleges especially can't afford to waste time and effort on really trying to fully convert people with what little time the professors have anyways. The reality is this is often the first taste of freedom away from parents, and the kids find out life without mom/dad is way more peaceful and they want more of it. It's a shock to the system for them being truly comfortable in a space for the first time, and going back to that feels like dread. Even if colleges were pushing ideology, consider why your kid had so little faith in you that they would immediately drop their beliefs for a stranger. Stories number 42. Aita for telling my sister that at least my kids talk to me. My 39F stepdaughter Zoe turned 18 last Friday. It's been a tradition in my family to gift the oldest daughters on their 18th birthday a necklace that my great-great-grandma had. Since I consider Zoe my daughter and she's my oldest, I thought I would continue the tradition with her. This meant a lot to Zoe and we shared a really deep and meaningful hug where she told me how grateful she was to have me as a mom. Hearing this made me so happy. During her birthday dinner my sister Grace, 34, came over. She sat down with us out back and asked what we got Zoe for her birthday. I told her about gifting Zoe the necklace and she made a face. She said that I would have gifted the necklace to Nina, 5, when she turns 18. I asked her why she thought that, and Grace told me point blank that Zoe wasn't biologically my daughter, so I shouldn't give her the necklace. I have to be honest, this pissed me off and I wanted nothing then to yell and scream at her in this moment, but I stayed calm. I told her that I considered Zoe my daughter and since she was my oldest child the necklace was rightfully hers now. Grace told me that the necklace belongs to our family and Zoe wasn't biologically related to us, so the necklace shouldn't go to her. She continued by saying that I should get it back and wait until Nina comes to age to give it to my real child. I snapped and said that Zoe was my real child and if she couldn't see or respect that then she can leave. Grace threw a fit telling me that I was wrong for kicking her out over a child who isn't even mine. I'll admit that I hit a low blow and said at least my kids still talk to me. It was wrong and I regretted it immediately, but she was being extremely disrespectful by telling me that Zoe wasn't my daughter. After that she packed up her things and left. It's been a week and I have been getting calls from both my mother and aunt telling me that I was wrong for what I said. My dad and husband are on my side but I'm still feeling guilty. So was I wrong for what I said to my sister? ETA, I have been seeing a few people ask and I'm just going to answer her. I have been in Zoe's life since she was 4 years old and I officially adopted her when 6 years old. I should have said that when I was making the post, but I wanted to focus on the question at hand and didn't want to add too much or make it too long. As for why my sister's kids don't talk to her, it's because she was a pretty bad mom to them and was often very neglectful of them. Her now ex-husband has full custody over the kids and they really don't want anything to do with her because of how she treated them when they were young. To add also, her oldest is only 13 and the youngest is 6. Stories number 43. Diagnosed with breast cancer today. I'm 29. The ironic thing is that I feel more anxiety about telling my mom than about the actual illness. I hate that I have to share this news Mother's Day weekend. And am afraid she'll blame herself somehow, since she has the BRCA2 mutation. I'm still waiting for my results. Then I'll call my 2 sisters and probably ruin their Mother's Day weekends as well. My oldest sister is flying across the country tonight so she can be there with me when I tell my parents tomorrow. Red heart. In the span of 1 week I had my initial breast exam, an ultrasound, mammogram, biopsy, and diagnosis. That's so flippin' fast. I'm still wrapping my head around everything, as I physically look and feel completely fine, good even. But all 3 of my biopsies came back as either invasive or metastatic. I hate the timing of all of this and that I'm going to be ruining Mother's Day for so many of my favorite women. And sharing the news is going to be extra hard. BC, I've been married less than a year and I'm scared our families are going to think for a split second that the news I'm sharing is a pregnancy. Sorry for the monologue, I felt this venting was more appropriate for here rather than the our breast cancer sub. Gearing myself up for tomorrow. Edit. Someone requested I share how I found it. I had my last annual breast exam in December 2024, was totally normal. In March I noticed a mass, based on touch, in my left breast while bathing, nothing too large and definitely not visible to the naked eye. I thought it was just a natural body thing that would work itself out. After a few weeks, the mass was still in there, if not larger, and I definitely noticed a difference when comparing my cupped breasts. Also, my nipple was starting to slightly invert. 2 weeks ago I scheduled an appointment with my regular doctor, occurred last Friday, and she was seriously concerned and requested I get an ultrasound mammogram ASAP. I went in for that Tuesday afternoon and they completed the ultrasound, mammogram, and biopsy all then and there. Fortunately the tone of the medical staff during my apps already had me braced for the diagnosis. We even scheduled my appointments with a surgeon before getting the biopsy results. TLDR, make sure you're feeling yourself up every time you shower. That's how I found one of what was apparently several masses. Stories number 44. AIO, my stepdaughter's boyfriend's parents think we're amateurs for not feeding their elite athlete son because he didn't eat our spaghetti. Some bizarre stuff went down tonight and I need to vent. My stepdaughter's boyfriend, they're both teens, was supposed to come over this afternoon. He asked to catch a train and bike to our place, a 45-minute ride, but his parents, who are very strict, refused and said they'd drop him off instead. We had told them clearly that he needed to leave by 8 p.m. We assumed he'd be dropped off around 5 p.m. or earlier. Instead, his mum dropped him off after 6:30 p.m. As his ETA changed multiple times, we did not know when he would arrive, and subsequently had dinner before he arrived. While he finally arrived, my stepdaughter offered him some spaghetti from the fridge. He declined, saying it looked weird. His mum came to pick him up at 8:30 p.m. and was noticeably cold and rude. Then, later that evening, my stepdaughter came out of her room in tears. Her boyfriend had texted her saying that his dad had screamed at him, saying we didn't feed him, called us amateurs, and said their son is an elite athlete, he's a competitive rower, who can't be trusted in our home. This isn't even the first time they've blown up like this. They once went to the movies after school and his parents lost it because he hadn't eaten while he was out. His mother apparently gets annoyed with him for eating too many carbs. He's not allowed out after school on weekdays. She's a stay-at-home mom, his dad is a former rower, and they're very wealthy. The entire vibe is controlling, rigid, and weirdly obsessed with his food intake and athletic status. My stepdaughter was gutted. But now she's decided to break up with him. Has anyone else dealt with a dynamic like this, where the partner's family is just unhinged? It's hard enough being a teen without parents like this throwing around words like amateur, because someone didn't get a designer meal in a 2-hour visit. Edit, this has blown up. I've edited slightly for clarity as a lot of people have stated what I wrote was not particularly clear. To clarify, we'd planned to have dinner with him, but ate before he arrived after his parents changed their plans and thus his arrival time on multiple occasions, and we had no idea when he'd actually show up. We offered him food when he finally arrived. He said no. Stories number 45. Lads, I've gotten a girlfriend. The issue is gaming, unfortunately. I am an avid gamer and my girlfriend loves cute stuff. Pottery, sewing, dancing, Atlas. That's what I thought at first. Recently she told me she wanted to try games because I make them look so much fun after massaging my back while I was playing, so we start playing Marvel Rivals and I did not expect it, but she got used to playing very quickly. She mains Hulk and Invisible Woman. Here's the problem I learned from this game: we are both extremely competitive, but she says, you take it to a whole new level. Sometimes it looks like you are going to genuinely explode out of your skin and it's worrying. She obviously cares for my health and whatnot, so I want to be better. How do you guys be less competitive? It's really frustrating to lose at anything for me, so I thought maybe someone would have some advice. Edit. For clarification, I'm not yelling at my monitor and definitely not my girlfriend. In every game we play we are on the same side. I used to do the former, but I've grown and I want to keep growing, especially for my girl now. A reaction that I would have now is just my whole body getting really tense. The reason behind my hatred for losing is because I feel like I could have done something better, or there was something we could do to win, and I can't stand having that hang over my head, that I could have tried harder or we could have made a different strategy to take the win. It's not just for gaming, I just don't like to fail. I really appreciate the advice and I will be using it to get better at controlling my reaction to failure. Stories number 46. You don't sound sick to me. I used to work as a researcher in an inbound call center. I loved the work, and the company was fantastic when I started. But after 4 years they got bought out by a big international corp, a pretty standard hack and slash corp equals buy up a profitable company, strip it of all assets, cut costs, slash quality, make good money until our well-deserved fantastic reputation is destroyed, then sell off and move on. Within weeks the company went from being fantastic to work for to just yet another shitty, tense work environment where the bosses take advantage of the employees. One quick example of how badly they nerfed the bonus structure. One particular bonus went from being able to earn up to $1,000 extra in 3 days to a single $50 Boston Pizza gift card. Previously all employees got paid varying bonuses under this scheme, but in the new system, only one person gets the gift card. And they had the nerve to get mad at us when the new, slap in the face, bonus failed to motivate anyone. I was good at my job, and not to brag, but I was the most productive employee on the floor. We were given 15 PTO, paid time off, days to use every year, which according to our employment contracts and company handbook were to be used for sick days, mental health days, and other personal reasons. No explanation was ever asked for, use them as and when you will. I always made sure to use up all my PTO by the end of the year as it didn't bank. Previous management encouraged us to do so, and also there was no bonus for not using it. I followed the company rules, always gave plenty of notice, and only once left the team dangling with no notice, as I got seriously ill that time. The new management takes over and right away they start trying to intimidate us into not taking PTO. I hear a lot of this from my fellow employees, how when they call in the supervisors have started grilling them, challenging them, saying they don't sound sick, etc. A lot of intimidation and bullying. So by the time I need to use a PTO day, I'm ready. I call in one day and tell them I won't be in tomorrow. They want to know why, so I tell them I'm not feeling well. Their voice grows immediately cold, and they get a rude tone. You don't sound sick to me. Being a smart ass, I said, not even doctors try to diagnose illnesses over the phone, but they kept trying to push me. Can you come in the afternoon? You don't sound sick. You've been using a lot of sick days, way more than other employees. I got tired of being treated like a criminal for obeying the rules, so I got a recording app for my phone. I live in a one-party consent area, so it's perfectly legal to record phone calls. Next time I felt sick I called into work. Now they always began every call with a disclaimer, thank you for calling XXX, for your information this call may be monitored or recorded for quality purposes. I say hello, give them my name, and say, by the way, just so you know on my end, this call may be monitored or recorded for quality purposes. Because I am recording the call, and I think it's only fair to let them know. The supervisor gives a perfunctory laugh, then says, so why are you calling in sick? You don't sound sick to me. I'll put you down as sick for the morning but you'll be in for the afternoon. I inform them that no, I am calling in for at least one day and will update if I don't feel better. She says, no, I'll put you down for half a day, you can call in again if you don't feel better. Once again I say no, restate my position, and tell them that is that. She gets really pissy and then starts insinuating that this might cause me to lose my job. Why do you take so much more PTO than the other employees? I take what my employment contract says I am entitled to. No more, no less. Well, you should have a better team spirit, we'll have to review this with HR. Threatening tone, classical bullying playbook. I'm off the next day, come in for my following shift. Go see HR. I sit down at Art's desk in HR, he's very much a corporate HR lapdog. He starts going on about how they're going to have to review my employment contract and consider whether or not going forward I am a good fit at XXX Corp. Now, in case I seem too calm in this scenario, bear in mind that, while I do prefer to remain at XXX for the time being, I do not care if they want to fire me. I'm very good at my job, I have had several job offers from competing companies, so the threat of being fired does not faze me. While Art is berating me, I take out my phone, and start playing the recording I made when calling in sick. Art stops, starts to get annoyed, then realizing he's listening to a recording of an employee verbally berating and intimidating a worker for exercising their contractual, legal rights. He excuses himself, and is gone for about 10 minutes, before returning, visibly angry but restrained. He tried to dress me down, scare me, intimidate me into thinking I had violated the law with an illegal recording. I told that, working as I did as a professional researcher, I had, to no surprise, done my research. And single-party consent is all that was required. He shifted gears, starting saying the recording didn't count, because the supervisor thought I was joking. I wasn't, but she thought you were, and she was wrong. So it doesn't really matter what she thought, Art. I told her the truth, she made a mistake, and recording my own phone conversations is 100% legal, and admissible. Art leaves, and returns a few minutes later, ever more red-faced. You can go back to your desk. I did as instructed, and that was all I ever heard again about using my PTO. Whenever I called in from then on, they were always very precise and professional. Their tone was as cold as politicians promise, but that was a lot better than the bullying from before. Stories number 47. Revenge of a brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is annoying and comes off at times as condescending, which I think is due to being insecure, so I hold my tongue often. A while back my wife and I visited her sister and him for a long weekend. While he was at work, police officer, she complained about all these chores he hasn't done and kids' furniture and toys not assembled, etc. My wife offered for me to take care of some of it, which I gladly jumped on. The furniture and toys took me under an hour. I'm a woodworker that makes furniture, lol, and of course I had to comment on his anemic collection of useless tools. After that I went into their garage and broke down and tied up an almost packed garage of cardboard boxes. Noticed some kitchen cabinet doors were misaligned, those got adjusted too, and for the icing on the cake, it snowed a few days prior to us arriving. He neglected to shovel, so I shoveled, even cleaning up the hard-packed snow ice in the driveway from him driving over it for a few days. For the rest of the weekend I was a rock star, and he had to hear it from his wife that everything he procrastinated on for months took me half a day. I pick and choose my battles wisely with my brother-in-law, as we're both in it for the long term, so my strategy has always been subtle revenge. Stories number 48. She sets 15 alarms at her desk, and never turns them off. There's a woman in my office, let's call her Alarm Queen. Every day, like clockwork, she sets alarms on her phone for random things. Water break. Alarm. Stretch reminder. Alarm. Think positive moment. Yep, another alarm. That's not the problem. The problem is, she never turns them off. The alarm goes off, full volume, default iPhone screech, and she just sits there, typing, scrolling, eating, completely unfazed. The rest of us? Flinching, staring, slowly losing our sanity. Sometimes it rings for over a minute before she taps snooze. Then it starts again 10 minutes later. One time I said, "Hey, I think your phone's going off," and she just smiled and said, "Oh, I know." I said it. She knows. What kind of person sets a motivational alarm called Slay the Day, and lets it ring while sipping soup? Every single day. I don't know if she's optimizing her life or slowly trying to ruin mine. Stories number 49. Written up for being nice. This happened years ago when I worked in a distribution center. It was one of those days where they were trying to cram 50 people's work into 25 people, which is typical in these places. I was tired of it and had sick time, so I went to my supervisor before lunch break and said, "Hey, I'm gonna leave after lunch." We usually told him when we were going to do this so that over our lunch, he has time to move people around and cover the empty work slot. Well, I was on a shit list with a person in upper management and they wanted to use this to burn me. They called me into the office the next day. "You told him you were going to leave well before you left. How did you know ahead of time you would be sick after lunch?" Sick time is for being sick only, so if you use it without being sick, you are stealing company time. And that's what they wrote me up for. So if I would have lied and said I feel sick, I'm going home immediately, I wouldn't be in trouble. I asked, to which they actually replied, yes. Cue malicious compliance. I told everyone at work, 150 plus people, that if you notify that you are leaving ahead of time, you will get written up for time theft. No one ever did it again. From that point on, it was, I don't feel good, I'm going home, from anyone who wanted to. Meaning their job position went unmanned for the 30 minutes it takes to restructure and reassign job tasks. Meaning every day, 2 to 3 times a day they would have to take someone from another job and put them in a backed up mess. Which led to more call-offs. It got so bad that the upper management started an intimidation campaign in which they would start saying things like, I'm starting to see a pattern, whenever people left early more than once in a year. I now have a new job that is a million times better, but thought I'd share this here. Stories number 50. Dating that nice guy will suck the life out of you. Hear me out. On paper, he may not be perfect, but he is safe with no major red flags. But a lot of them will suck the life out of you. He's nice at first, right? Then as you get to know him, he may be just that, nice. Lukewarm. Not kind, or considerate. You start realizing he has no depth at all, and sure, he doesn't punch walls or have that toxic F-boy energy you may be used to, but what happens when Mr. Nice Guy gets the beautiful girl? His ego sets off. He suddenly feels like a prize without having done anything to work for himself or prove it. He feels like he has finally won after all the rejections, because he somehow bagged you. He won't give you more than the bare minimum, because you falling for his niceness was proof enough for him that he doesn't have to evolve as a man. Having a woman as lively, beautiful, kind, smart, etc. feels like growth to him. It makes him think he's made it without making anything for himself. Ladies, don't settle. A lot of nice guys are energy vampires who seem safe enough at first, but will drain you once they get an ego off dating you. There is nothing substantial about being nice. Stories number 51. I feel nothing and everything at the same time. I will never be the same again. My fiance caved my face in with his fist. They think I might lose my eye after surgery. I have been at my dad's house with our 2-year-old daughter. My dad is sick, so most of the time I am watching her alone, and it's been so hard because my orbital bone is shattered, so I can only reliably use one eye. I am in so much pain and so tired. I can't believe this happened to me. All I ever wanted was to feel appreciated. It was the last thing we were arguing about. I wanted to feel more seen in the relationship, and I felt hurt and haunted by his past problems. I feel like I will never be happy ever again. I'm so tired and sad. Update: my fiancé shattered my orbital bone and I almost lost my left eye. I am now out of emergency surgery and safe with my daughter. For those who didn't get to read it, my fiancé, 28M, punched me, 31F, at least twice. I am not sure if more, because I think I may have blacked out, and I had to immediately be sent to my local ER and then transferred to a city hospital further away for emergency surgery. We have a 2-year-old daughter together that was napping in her room as this unfolded in our home. I wanted to say thank you so much for all the kind words and support. I am doing a lot better and have been working non-stop to pick up the pieces of my life and make sure my daughter feels safe and secure in this horrible time period. I felt bad I didn't get to respond to anyone, but my left eye right now is of very limited use. I would like to elaborate more on what happened for those who were concerned and reaching out to send support to me. We were arguing over almost everything this particular morning while my daughter was asleep, but it almost doesn't even matter at this point. Arguments that would just segue into more arguments all morning. I was so tired and frustrated and not backing down. I had been up most the night and all morning so he could sleep, and had to wake him up early before work to get insurance fixed for our daughter, and the process was like pulling teeth. He resented me so much the more I actively wanted to fix our problems, not only in our relationship but also as adults trying to stay functional. Everything from brushing his teeth, to constantly choosing watching porn instead of spending time with me and the baby, all the way to hanging up on her insurance directory, everything was for me to rush in and fix him, and I just didn't want to anymore. I felt so constantly unseen. I buy him flowers or pick them myself while out on walks and make him bouquets all the time, and he has never done it once. He spent more time in our relationship actively flirting with other females, some of them being my own friends, one being a 17-year-old he met in a hentai server, instead of ever considering me or how I feel. I felt like I make everything beautiful around me, but I was destroyed and miserable in the process. He started taking a more active role as a father after I found out he was watching porn for hours daily while I desperately needed help with colic newborn, and I had a severe mental break and spent my first Mother's Day in a psych ward. He became incredibly thoughtful and active with our daughter from there on in, but paying attention to me was still always an afterthought. It came to the point it didn't matter to me anymore, and I think there was more resentment than love on both sides. One of the last things I said to him was I was refusing to walk away from the argument until he acknowledged how much I do and how little he contributes to bringing life into our small family. I was fuming at this point. He lost it immediately and screamed, "Why don't you just fucking leave already?" and began to break his desktop computer. When he grabbed the computer and ripped it out from under the desk to break it, he either purposely or accidentally knocked me backwards into a wooden table in the process. I got up and shoved him back and we both began shoving each other. It was just a huge blur for me at these next few points, but the shoving and hitting continued from both of us at this point. The fight moved by his office door into the living room and I fell backwards onto the couch right next to the door. I thought it was just over at this point as I just flailed backwards, but he raised his dominant hand up and punched me as hard as he could. I felt such an immediate heat and pain in my eye I have never felt before, and my vision went black. I screamed so badly from the pain, and before I could even process what happened he took that time to rewind his fist back and punch me again, full force again. I was so terrified at this point, and I knew I was feeling pain I had never felt before my entire life. I don't remember much at this point, and it felt like a third-person experience. I remember being on my living room floor as he walked away and slammed his office door. I saw blood began gushing from my face and spewing into the hardwood floor, but I was incredibly dizzy and still couldn't figure out exactly what had happened to me. I heard him on the phone with police at this point, and I began shouting for help, saying I can't see and crying out in so much pain. He ignored my pleas and stayed silent in his office for about another 10 minutes. I had to get up, but I was so dizzy and I couldn't see well at this point as blood was matted into my hair and dripping down to my neck and also from both my hands to my wrists. I was able to find my phone to call 911, and I told them I think he broke my nose because I couldn't feel my face and didn't realize the blood was actually coming from my eye socket. Police arrived while I was making the call, and he had slammed his office door so hard prior he was locked in the office and couldn't answer the door for police. I had found my way to the door while still losing a large amount of blood, and I was very dizzy and blinded. When I opened the door, the female officer started shouting and pulled me out immediately and called for EMS. He was arrested immediately and even laughed when he finally got his office door open, acting like it was so silly. My daughter, thank God, was asleep for this but had woken up only about a minute before police arrived. They wanted me to go check on her, but I refused because I was absolutely drenched in blood. It was so much that police couldn't tell where my injury was either. I let them check on her while I washed up and hid the left side of my face with a large jacket hood so I didn't scare her. My orbital bone was completely shattered and I have been and out of consciousness before my emergency surgery. They let me take my daughter with me to the hospital, and I gave up the exam bed for her to play, and I mainly focused on trying to keep her happy and calm, but I was so terrified. I wanted to sign myself out because I didn't have anyone to watch her for me, but they said they were certain I would be blind in my left eye soon if I left without getting help. My dad was able to show up and take my daughter for me, and both hospitals were so extremely kind and helpful to me. They even gave my dad a brand new child car seat so he could take her to his house. When I had surgery, the surgeon told my dad this was quite severe and I'm lucky to have my eyeball at all right now. There was a very large hole where he punched and I had bone fragments scattered across my face, into my cheek and nose, and also behind my eye socket. I still don't know fully what they did to repair my orbital bone, but I'm pretty sure they have to make a replicated part to repair the fracture since it was broken and smashed into pieces. The anesthesiologist asked if he shattered his knuckles during this and was surprised he didn't. I will never go back. I am working with a DV advocacy group who is helping make sure my medical forensic exam but also the surgery information is showed to police and a judge, so he will have multiple felony charges. My eye will probably still be functional, but it'll never be the same again. I have been through so many emotions in this time period, but I do feel a sense of peace knowing this is permanent and I can move on now. My daughter and I were granted a standard 6-month restraining order from him, and I am ready to increase the time span, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I am still doing what I do, bringing beauty to everything around me. It's been raining and I brought my daughter outside with her raincoat and rain boots, and we followed a busy bumblebee around for an hour together while splashing in puddles. I am in severe pain, yes, but I will not let this sad excuse of a person make my daughter miss a single stride in her life right now when she needs stability and joy the most. She is doing very well, but I think she knows I'm injured. CPS has been alerted and I keep in touch with them to check in on us weekly so far. When she saw my face finally, she studied it briefly and brought her hand up to her eye and placed it there. My heart breaks for her more than it does for any physical pain I feel. I would lose both my eyes if it meant bringing her the safety and love into her life she needs more than ever right now. Sometimes at night I still feel the sadness creeping in, but I have been keeping myself busy in between resting. I also just cannot forget how cruel so many of his actions were that day. He didn't even tell the police I was injured. He saw blood spew from my eye and walked away from me. He deliberately wounded his fist back an additional time to make sure I was deeply maimed by him. No matter how many ways I try to think about it, I cannot find a way to explain this one away in my head like I have many of his past blunders and warning signs. 2 months ago he had his therapist remove his anger disorder from his mental health diagnosis. He broke hundreds of dollars of things in the past and would make verbal threats at me, with the most sincere anger in his eyes that really used to scare me a lot. He never cared. He cared that I was a convenience enough to keep around and only cared if I interrupted this easily accessible life convenience. I was a commodity to him, and that's why it was so easy for him to break my face like a child angry at a toy and walk away to leave me to bleed alone on the ground. I will never forget. This is the most dangerous and costly lesson I have ever experienced on how important it is to advocate for my own inner peace and learn to stand up for myself enough to leave when it was being disrupted, that I love myself, and that I have value that deserves to be reciprocated instead of neglected. I will never let it go this far ever again, and I love myself right now more than I ever have my entire life, and that he will never be able to take this away from me ever again. Stories number 52. A woman just texted me for the first time in 5 years, after kinda ghosting me back in 2020. I'm a bit overwhelmed by the whole situation. In 30 years a woman has never texted me first, outside of Bumble. The first thing I thought was that it must have been her friend making a joke, but after texting back and forth a day or two, it's definitely her. I matched with her on an app back then, even though I was convinced she was way out of my league. We chatted for a days, then exchanged Instagram and chatted some more, but I think she lost interest. Conversation fizzled out and it felt like I was talking to myself at times. We never actually met, so I decided to move on with me life. Fast forward 5 years later, she was suggested to me on Instagram, and I followed her just because I was nosy and curious what's going on with her. I didn't really intend for this to go anywhere else, but she just texted me out of the blue and we've been chatting again for a few days and possibly meeting for drinks soon. It's kind of funny though, the topic of our last conversation was brought up and she had no idea why it ended the way it did either. Anyway, I guess the moral of the story is, sometimes, good things happen when you least expect them. Has anyone been in a similar situation before? What made you text that person again? Or how did you react when that person got in contact with you? Stories number 53. I'm using too much of my PTO. I work at a massive company in corporate. Great place, but unfortunately was stuck under a micromanaging director who had random neurotic episodes. Our team was always burnt out because if Mr. Director saw you leave your desk for any reason, like to go to the bathroom, get water, or take a lunch break, he took that as you not being busy enough and would pile on even more useless work. And if you left a minute before 5:05 he got really upset. Oh, and forget about working from home, everyone else did. Finally the time came for the big international trip I had been planning for years that was now possible after COVID. I hardly took time off and slaved away the whole year while my friends on other teams enjoyed life. We were more pressured this year to always be working and not take time off. We had so much work we couldn't even take time off. I ensure everything is wrapped up first, plus it's December so most people are out anyway. Take my 1.5-week trip and had an amazing time. Fast forward a month and my manager, who reports to Mr. Director, tells me that I need to watch out and not take so much vacation. He states matter-of-factly that I need to be more careful about using my days and I've actually run out of time to take off. What? We're checking vacation days? I was shocked as we were repeatedly told that we should not log our days in the system because they aren't checking. It's an honor system. And nobody cares how many days you take if it's reasonable. I ask, what should I do differently? I always check well in advance and add it on your calendar. Should I start logging my days in the system? How is that possible if I have at least a week left? I keep track myself. He won't give me a straight answer and is super vague. Okay, since we're now tracking vacation days, I'll make sure I log everything in the system. I went in and backlogged all of the days I had ever taken off prior years. Weeks upon weeks of PTO. Even needed HR approval since some were so long ago. Manager had to go in and approve every single request since it notifies you and requires you to respond. Going forward I submitted everything. And yes, I had plenty of PTO left. Manager starts getting annoyed. Says that I really don't need to log time off. I stop him right there, but I thought I was taking too much vacation. We all need to be sure that we're being truthful about the honor system. He doesn't know what to say. Later a teammate tells me what really went down. Turns out one day, Mr. Director decided that his team was taking too much time off. That all the useless work he assigned was not getting done. He had one of his tantrums and started freaking out and tracked down every day off, doctor's appointment, sick day, etc. that our team of 8 people had taken going back at least a year. He was checking calendars, digging up emails, asking other people if they saw us this day or that. Even though he had told us time and time again, you don't need to log your days, we're not checking. But because Mr. Director was a B-cluster narcissist, he was much too busy and important to take up his concerns with us lowly employees directly. Or to talk things through like an adult and get all the facts first, but not too busy to account for every hour I wasn't at work. This would be one of many infractions that came out of nowhere. Mr. Director was also an extremely difficult person to work with. Other teams did not want to work with our team. He treated people poorly and I can't tell you how many people flat out hated him. And guess what? Nobody had used anywhere near all their PTO. There were zero performance concerns and we were an extremely high-performing team due to the constant fear. I always asked for feedback and got nothing. Yet co-workers with planned family trips were getting pressured into pushing them back again, and again, and again, because Mr. Director needed them sitting at their desk in case something important came up. Meanwhile, Mr. Director made sure to use more than his allotted PTO days and frequently took week-long trips. I made sure to use the rest of my PTO days since they were now being tracked. Mr. Director actually tried to stop it, but I threatened to take it up with HR since I had plenty of time left and he backed off. Thankfully, I escaped that team and moved internally. I was doing so much work, much of it technical for a non-technical team, that nobody knew how to do it. Mr. Director was frantically reaching out to me and demanding me to fix stuff. Even though I spent my last 2 weeks documenting and transitioning over everything. I chose to ignore him, and it felt great. My old teammates still there are miserable. The people that replaced us are already trying to leave. One guy, who'd been with the company for years, completely left the company a month after joining this team when realizing his mistake. Stories number 54. Tofu by not putting out the butter and letting my son commit a crime against breakfast. Last night, I was too tired to do one simple task, put out a new stick of butter to soften for the morning. No big deal, right? Wrong. Around 2 a.m., my teenage son, blessed with the metabolism of a hummingbird on espresso, decided he needed waffles. He fires up the toaster, goes hunting for butter, and finds a suspiciously wrapped stick in the fridge. Foil wrapped. Rectangular. Solid. His brain, running on fumes and gamer energy, goes, butter. Spoiler, it was vegetable shortening. Just pure, flavorless, ghost white grease. But did he hesitate? Nope. He slathered it all over those waffles, poured syrup on top like nothing was amiss, and ate every bite. The man had shortening and syrup on his waffles like it was totally normal. This morning he casually tells me, the butter was kinda flavorless last night, but the syrup covered it. I just stood there, horrified, while he walked away like some culinary war criminal. Tofu. And I may have raised a gremlin. TLDR, forgot to put out butter. Teen son made 2 a.m. waffles, mistook foil-wrapped vegetable shortening for butter, ate it with syrup, didn't notice. Thinks bland butter is a thing now. Stories number 55. Aita for wanting to divorce my husband because he asked if he could get a blowjob from a sex worker. Today is my birthday, so me 25F and my husband 25M decided to go out for lunch. The day was going well and everything seemed normal. On the way back home in the car he asked me if I would mind if he hired a sex worker to blow him because according to him my blowjob skills are not that good. I asked him if he was serious and he just kept asking if I would mind it. I got upset at him, obviously. And when he noticed I was upset he said I was a hypocrite and was making drama and that I wanted to ruin the day, etc. I feel hurt and am thinking about divorcing him. He just said I was being a jerk for no reason. Am I overreacting? It's not like he cheated. Stories number 56. I found one. A man who is emotionally intelligent and lets himself have feelings. A man who is unbelievably giving in bed. A man who isn't immature or grossed out by my period. A man who doesn't want children. A man who is progressive and stands up for the rights of women, queer people and immigrants. A man who doesn't hate cats. A man who remembers what I like, pays attention when I talk and plans dates. A man who goes to both the gym and to therapy. A man who cleans after himself, does his own laundry and dishes. A man who is ambitious but makes time for me. A man who supports my dreams and goals. I could go on, but I'm writing all of this to say, please don't settle. I've been alone for a decade, and he was worth the wait.